Hey y'all, welcome back to Spirit of the Outdoors, live from Mississippi. How y'all is tonight? I am finally getting to sit down and relax. Rest a little bit, and I don't reckon my iPad it ain't gonna load nothing, I don't reckon. It may be non-functional. Well, I finally got to pull up. Now my video ain't on there. There it is. So it is misting rain tonight. I say tonight, it's still daylight here. Slight drizzle. We have been around 80 something degrees all week. So it ain't been too bad hot this week. It has actually been pleasant, but I have not gotten to enjoy it at all. Not any, not none whatsoever. I have overspent this week, and then I have had to work like a dog to get caught back up and get the bills that was due paid on top of what all I spent. But I had all this knife making equipment I bought. I had to pay for that. I had to pay my deer camp dues. So that was $1,400 total that I paid in the last week and a half to 2 weeks. That wasn't, money I had saved up. And so this week I have pumped out some knives though. I've got some more out there ready. I went and shipped 2 or 3 today. I've got some more out there ready to ship. Somebody keeps texting. I got messages popping up. I don't know. I may have to answer them to get them to stop. I don't know. My phone, it don't never. So anyway, I'll be honest with y'all. My grass, I finally got it cut today because there was no way I was going to turn this camera on. Well, that yard back there was nearly knee high. I ain't kidding y'all. It has rained, and I ain't been able to cut it. Not to mention, I ain't had time to cut it. I've been out there working. And we're trying to keep the pottery business going right now because I'm still uncertain about the knife business. And I've been trying to make all these knife orders because I want to get these orders I've got done so I can just see what happens. Like I would love to put some knives on my Etsy shop. I keep telling people I'm going to have knives on the Etsy shop. Good Lord, this fella texting won't stop. I'm going to have to, I may have to block him. I don't know. I can unblock him when the live's over, but he just keeps on some message after message. I'm going to have to quit giving my number to people, I'm telling y'all. It gets out of hand, it really does. So some people don't get the point, Oh, anyway, I've got some knives made. Well, there all that went. They're going to make them out of rubber one of these days where they'll bounce off the floor. Oh, Lord. Good Lord, still messages popping up on there. Hang on. Y'all gonna have to give me a second right here. I bet I can't do nothing with it. I can't. He just keep texting. I may have to block that dog. I hate to. I don't like to do people like that, but when they don't quit. Oh. So anyway, I wanted to get some knives on the Etsy shop, was what I was trying to say. And every time I get some made, well, I sell them and I don't ever get none put on there. So I have made a couple of these designs, y'all. I had a buddy of mine, he said, these little short knives is getting popular. Everybody's wanting them. I had never really made any little short knives, and these are they're little fat. And so what I was trying to do with these two, now this one I made out of a regular steel saw blade. And somebody was like, I want to buy that. I was like, I ain't selling it because I don't know what that steel's going to do. I made it just because I had it laying there and I was limited on my saw blades at the moment. And I just wanted to see what it would do, but I wanted to see if I liked the feel of it. And after I have cut a bunch of stuff, I have whittled on sticks, sharpened it and cut into some oak and all that kind of stuff. It has actually held up better than I expected. Now it ain't the steel that I've been using. Now I feel like I could heat treat it and probably make it a lot better, but I don't know exactly how to heat treat it. It is just an old regular old steel saw blade off of a whatever steel saw from, probably made in China steel, I don't know. It may be made in the USA. I don't even know what kind of blade it was. It wasn't I really didn't even look. But this I made out of a scrap off of one of my other saw blades down there. And look at the grain that showed up in that oak. That is oak wood. And it had wormholes in it. And I was like, well, that's pretty cool. And what my intentions to do is I wanted to rub wax or something into those wormholes. And I get up here close and I didn't go wash my face and all that stuff before I got on here. I just sat down and like, I've been cutting graves. But anyway, I wanted to rub wax in there to smooth out, and I put it on the buffer and buffed that, and I put a light stain. I had some, I think, espresso men wax. And I just lightly rubbed it over. I didn't soak it in real good. And y'all, that turned out, I'm gonna wind up keeping this one. I can just about guarantee, because I'm liking it. But I don't know which design I like the best as far as the tips. Now I know I had a bunch of people saying, oh, I need more of a finger guard and all that. This is gonna be made to go in a very small knife neck thing. So I don't want a whole big guard and all this stuff sticking out on this knife. We may make a different one that has all that, but for this one, they're gonna be like this as far as this bottom finger guard. It's enough that somebody knows what they're doing and ain't gonna slip now. So which one of these tips for a short knife like that would you rather have? And I ain't gonna do no lot of shiny blades neither. I don't really like shiny blades. I like a dark patina on a blade. So anyway, I just thought I would stick them out here while I was looking and playing and so how are everybody tonight? I see most everybody in there. We have had this week, y'all talking about rain, probably about 2.5 inches of rain this week. I poured the rain gauge out one day, it had about 1.5 inches in there, and I looked today and there was a little over 1 inch in there again, so. And it has been good rain. Like we've had a couple of, little while it rained pretty hard, just come a monsoon for a little while. But like right now it's just drizzling. This ground is soaking all of this up. The river has not rose hardly any. Now it's real muddy, it's rose some, it's messed the fishing up, but it ain't like filled it up and flooded the swamp. So y'all like that drop point on that blade? Carolyn, I may do a knife sharpening video one day. It's a lot of it has to do with the grind of the knife, and a lot of knives are ground a whole lot differently. Like kitchen knives usually have a real slim where you can get them really sharp, but most of them will dull fairly easily, especially if you go to cutting into a plate. A ceramic plate made out of pottery will dull a knife faster than anything there is. That's why I like wood cutting boards. People's like, oh, wood will grow bacteria. You don't need to be using them wood cutting boards. But a wood cutting board don't dull your knife like some of this Teflon and a lot of other stuff. Now, I don't think the Teflons are too bad. Most of that stuff is fairly soft if you got a good knife. But I like wood. And but a lot of times you really just need to rub a knife with something because you're really not trying to grind metal off of it. In a microscopic view, your blade looks like this, and when it gets dull, what actually happens is that blade on one side rolls over like that. And you rub something down in it and it pushes that back up straight where it'll cut again. A lot of people don't know that. They think you got to grind metal off to sharpen it. If your knife's made right, you really shouldn't have to do that. Now I'm the world's worst. I like to rub my knife on a wet rock as much as any other man. I'll admit it. That's one of my hobbies is sitting here just rubbing a knife on something. I like a sharp knife, but you really ain't supposed to have to do all of that. But we may do a video on it one day. I don't have a hillbilly potato leaf up here. In fact, I don't know if I got one in the garden anymore. My dad-in-law come pick tomatoes yesterday. The man that's sort of mentoring me in knife making, him and his wife come pick tomatoes today. And she said she may come back tomorrow, so I don't know what's done. I've tried to give tomatoes away to I don't want to see them rot. So I've been like, y'all come get what you want, because we've put up all we really got room to put up. I grow way more than I need, and I do it for the purpose of giving to people that can't grow stuff or don't. But I don't have one up here to show you, but they a big yellow tomato. And right now, the vines, it got so hot for a while, the vines started dying. Now everything's starting to put back out up at the top part. And I don't know if they're going to put any more tomatoes on there, but stuff's greened up with all this rain. Yeah, Ken, you got a point about the night bit about the consumer. When I made pottery, me and Michelle would make stuff that we liked, and they don't nobody else want it. I got a coffee cup I've tried to sell 2 or 3 times. One of them fat bottom mugs, and I don't reckon nobody wants it. I may start drinking out of it myself. The pumpkins, there's a few that made it, but not many. What happened is before we got enough rain, the doves come in there and pick the seeds up out of the ground. There's 6 doves down there, and they have went through, and I mean, you can see where they scratched little holes where the seeds was, and got the seeds out of the ground. So I doubt they're gonna be pumpkins, and I still got text messages popping up. They drive me nuts. I would put it on airplane mode, but I don't think I can actually live stream if I do that. But anyway, I doubt they're gonna be any pumpkins. And at this point, I'm overextended anyway, and I don't even feel like trying to peddle pumpkins because they'll probably be enough for us to sit on our porch, not worry about it. But usually we would sell them if they made good. And with all this rain, they would have made if they were up now. But I think the birds did more damage than anything. Mike Taylor, email me at justinpeden@gmail.com, or you can message me on the Spirit of the Outdoors Facebook page. I can pretty well work through either one of them. But the email is important because I have to be able to email you or send you my PayPal link, and I take payment through PayPal. Now I have had a few people send me a money order or something like that, and I'll wait till I can run that through the bank, make sure everything's kosher, and then I'll send a knife. But The garden, I like to wait, talking about gardening and planting anything, I like to wait till the 1st of May when everything gets heated up to where the ground's right and stuff will produce a lot more produce. The downside to that is by the time it starts really making, it has done got hot weather. I imagine next year I'm going to sacrifice the amount of produce and try to plant earlier so that I'm somewhat done with it by the middle of July, and I can say, okay, I'm wash my hands of this, I'm through. Because I'm going to be honest with y'all, now I have had so much going on trying to transition from pottery to the knife shop and setting everything up and still produce enough stuff to keep the bills paid that I ain't had time to go down there and fool with that garden. So I'll tell y'all what I cannot grow. I can just about anything else if I pay attention and see after it and hoe around it and work it. That's what Daddy says, son, you got to work that stuff. But I can't grow a watermelon to save my life. Every year, if I grow some, it'll be little old bitty knots. And I have been told the secret to it by different people, and everybody's secret's different. And I try it, and it's still, I don't know. I don't know. If it fits, our thing with the gardening here in the spring is you never know here when you're going to get a late cold. Like this past year and the year before and the year before that, we have had ice in we didn't have ice this year. We just had a bad cold. But year before and the year before that, 2 years in a row, I know my peach trees were bloomed out, encased in ice. I've got a picture of a thick sheet of ice over all of my peach tree blooms one year. That was 2 years ago. So you have to be careful. Now I will say this. I had plenty of fruit on the trees that I put water jugs in when it got cold. Now, if it comes a hard freeze and you got ice on the ground, I don't know that that's going to help anything. But it got below freezing, it got down to 28 degrees, something like that. Just a good frost. Hanging water jugs in your fruit trees does work. I've proved that to myself. I thought everybody laughed at me when I done it, and I was like, well, I don't know that it's going to work. I'm just going to see, and I can tell you now, it really works. Now, I can't tell you how it works or why, but I know it does. Yeah, Frank, talking about feed watermelons milk. I've heard pour milk around them. I have heard make a water bottle and hook it up to a hose like an IV and put it in the vine by the watermelon. It'll help them grow. I have heard pour sweet feed around them. I have heard put certain kinds of fertilizer at certain times of the year. I've heard pour molasses around them. I have heard all kinds. Some of that stuff is to help sweeten it up. But I'll be honest with you, at this point, it's easier to go buy a watermelon off the back of a truck uptown when you're ready to cut one and save yourself the headache. And with me fighting a deer, with the peas is about to get to be that way. But y'all, we got rid of another deer this past week. I didn't have nothing to do with it. But there was buzzards down there around my mom and them's garbage can. And she thought, Lord, what if I put in the garbage that the buzzards is after? So she got curious and went and looked, and they got this culvert under their driveway, and it's got kind of a cross ties over one end where there's like a hole up under there, sort of like a bridge. And she looked up under there, and there's a dead deer up under there. Somebody had hit it in the road, and it run up under there and died. And my daddy had to hook a chain to it and drag it out. He said, son, that was the stinkingest mess. I said, at least it wasn't 100 degrees or it'd have been falling apart. You really would have had a mess. He said, yeah, I know that. So anyway, Tony, we made salsa about 2 weeks ago. The first tomatoes that I pulled off, I made several jars of salsa. And I made hot salsa because I already had about 8 jars in there of old mild salsa. It wasn't hot enough for nothing. And I made me some this time. I made about 6 or 8 jars that was hot. I mean, I loaded it. I picked every pepper I had ready to pick and chopped them up, put them in there. Backyard fun country boy. How are you tonight? I see a lot of new names popping up on here. Y'all, welcome to the family. This is not just a channel. This is a family of people. I've got one of the greatest followings of people. There's very little negativity. And I want to welcome all of y'all new people. Thank you for joining in. We just have a lot of fun, and we'll try to learn you something with old good country know-how. But most of it's entertainment and just documenting a wonderful life that I have been blessed to live out here. Slowed down, and it ain't been slowed down the last 2 weeks. I'm caught up though. I'll tell y'all what I did. I'll just explain it. I ain't really sat down in the last week to amount, really in the last 2 weeks, not just rest. I have not got to watch any YouTube videos. By the time Wednesday night I come in time to get ready for church. And got a shower, and we went to church and come home. Monday night, I can't remember what I done. Something was going on Monday night. Tuesday night, though, and last night, Thursday night, I was out there in that knife shop working on knives till 10 o'clock. But what I've done is I paid my deer camp dues. That was $1,000. I bought all that knife equipment. I paid for that. Well, then I had a light bill that was due, and they get to chomping at the bit. They like to cut them lights off if you don't pay it right there pretty quick. So I had to pay that. So I spent a bunch of extra money. So I've had to really hump it to get it working, to get it caught up. Not to mention I had to bring all this knife equipment in and rearrange and set it up and figure out what I'm doing. I have messed up some stuff. I've scrapped some leather. I had to throw some leather away. Oh, and I had to buy another whole side of leather. Y'all, I have been through it. I ordered some leather about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. It's gone. I had to order some leather. I'm waiting on leather now to be here Tuesday. I've got enough to finish up what I'm working on. But that's why I hadn't put a sheath on these 2 knives yet. I'm going to design some stuff, but I've just kind of held up. But I've had to, and I'm like, you know what? When I get this stuff caught up, I ain't overextended. And then tomorrow I'm going to be on the road all day, so there may not be a just-in-time Sunday. We're going to have to see and the reason I say there may not be is I'm not willing to take that series and just throw something together just to put a video out. I've been all week trying to get up, and I really didn't realize till today that, hey, we're going to be gone. Well, I would have filmed it today so that it would be up, ready to go, but I didn't really know what I wanted to film. I had to cut the grass. I had to go ship some knives. I had to go pay that light bill, before they cut it on. They're going to be sitting here in the dark couldn't upload videos. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, things have been a bit tricky, but we got it all worked out. But I'm not willing to just throw something together to say, okay, I did a just-in-time video. Now, I may get home and be able to go sit down and film it in the shed in the dark. I don't know what time I'll get back tomorrow, but we got to go to North Mississippi. So anyway, I don't know. No, Matt, I hadn't had time to make the moccasins. I have not had time to work on my teepee. It is going to be my nemesis. I can see already. It's like this back porch was last year. Keeps on looming over me like, I got to get that done. And too much other stuff going on. I ain't had time. I ain't even been fishing this week. I ain't wet a hook all week. That is unheard of. But you know what? The Bible says, "In this too shall pass." He said, "Don't be weary in well doing. Just keep doing it. Keep digging. It'll be all right." Hey, sun comes up in the morning every time. Might not can see it. It might be behind rain clouds, but I can promise you it's coming up. So it'll be all right. I don't mind it. I ain't a lazy person. I don't mind hard work. I like to slow down and enjoy life. It ain't about let's make a bunch of money. It's about trying to accomplish things, I think, with me. Because like being greedy and trying to see how much money I can make is the furthest thing from my mind. But we set up to where, you know, it might work hard this week, might make life easier in the future, like from now on. So that's kind of my thinking. Backyard Fun doing me a turtle cleaning video. Be on the lookout for all them animal rights folks. They gonna come after you. They think all them turtles are an endangered species, and I got tired of arguing with them. I even posted the Mississippi law in the description box, and they was too ignorant to read that. That's why they didn't know that it wasn't on the endangered list. So I don't even worry about it. Hey, I tell you what it's doing, to make you have to get up and go to the bathroom between it and this coffee. So I may have to take off in a little while. You don't ever. I ought not have said that, ought not. But it's the truth. Have I tried my canned peas yet? No, I have not. Well, I don't know. We eat peas the other night. They may have been out that can. I just eat. Last night, Michelle is taking over the pottery. Like, she's never made pottery. Well, she started out making it, but she's never made the line of pottery we making now. Like all these dishes that we make now, she's never made. She paints everything. Well, we still got 3 or 4 stores, and we're not willing to let them go and let them do without pottery, like throw them in down a tube. Because the knife business may not take off. I feel like it will, but, you never know. But more than that, it's about these stores we've been supplying with pottery for 4 years, and they've been good to us and faithful to order. And I hate they need pottery to sell for their living, and I hate to just like leave them holding the bag and be like, no, sorry about your luck. So Michelle's going to make the pottery so that she can be here working, because she was threatening taking a job, and she still might. I don't know. So I may be wind up floating back and forth, but right now I'm trying to knock all these knife orders out and get my money where it ain't so funny, get it caught back up. My money done got funny. So we figuring things out this week, but she's been down there working on pottery and hadn't been up here. So last night she come in and was like, "Tomato sandwiches all right?" I said, "Fine with me." As long as I get to eat. Why does my iPad keep doing this? I fight with this iPad more than anything. So anyway, we eat peas one night. I love peas and cornbread. I like to crumble up my cornbread in my plate and pour them peas and that juice and all right down in that cornbread, and then eat me some hot peppers with it. Oh, man. Ed said to my, "Is it raining or am I frying bacon?" It is raining. Y'all, I know y'all can't see, but y'all want to see a beautiful sight. You see that rain just dripping off the edge of that house? Just look at that, would you? Just look at that rain dripping off of there, would you? It is a beautiful night. It really is. I may have to get over there and turn my bug light on. Brody, my sister is in, and I hadn't even got to see her. They came up today. She come up here to check on some pottery. I was supposed to have her some pottery made, and I ain't made it. I've been working on, she may fire me. That'll be all right, too, so. But yes, it is raining, to answer your question out here. Oh, Lord, I just leaned that over far enough for it to mess up again. So Chris, the knife business, I am getting better at it. I've got better tools, so the knives are getting better. I'm gonna really push my quality up. The quality of them ain't bad. There's nothing wrong with any knife I have ever made or sold. I don't regret not one knife. A lot of people are like, oh man, I wish I could buy them back. I don't know, Pete. I got utmost confidence in every knife I have ever made. But I am trying to work out small details get better, like the ricasso at the back, which is back here where this knife grind stops. I want that the same on both sides. When you look up here to where these grinds stop on either side, I want that straight. This grind down the side, like if you hold that knife and look down it, I want that grind line straight. And I want it to be ground the same on both sides. Little things like that, you know, you think, oh, that ain't no big deal. And it really ain't, as far as that being a useful tool. But I want it to be the best I can make it. You know what I mean? If you're going to sell stuff and do it for a living, you need to have pride in your work. So every knife I make, they just keep getting better and better and better. So I've got a bunch of new wood. I put some stuff. I don't know if you don't follow my Facebook page. I've been given some wood. I have bought some. No, I ain't bought. Where I bought the knife making stuff, that man had a couple of blocks of wood in his shop, and I picked them up and been like, I'm going to take these with me. He's like, get whatever you want out of here. He said, it's going to wind up all thrown away when we clean this all out eventually. So I got this board that's got a slightly yellow. Several people said it could possibly be mulberry. Very, very hard wood. But I polished those handles out with a buffer, and they come to a shine. Very dense heart. There was one board that my buddy Kip Barrier, they came up here and sang this past weekend with Right Road Quartet. Did a fantastic job. Those guys are a lot of fun to watch. They pick, carry on, have a lot of fun on stage with each other, joking, but talented singers. I mean, every one of them great singers. And good preacher too. I think a couple of them are actually preachers. I know my buddy Kip is a minister and can preach. He does more singing than preaching, but the other guy, the lead singer, I think he's more of a preacher too. They put on a fantastic show, had a move of the Holy Ghost, everything. But they was up here and he brought me some wood, and there was one wood that I played with today. I made a knife out of it, turned very purple. We thought it was black walnuts, what he brought it for, because the grain looked the same. Well, when I got into it, it's purple on the inside. It is not the Purple Heart that we have fooled with before. I have Purple Heart. It's slightly different than it. I don't know what it is. I got several woods down there that are beautiful wood. I don't have a clue what they are. So how do you market a knife? And somebody said, well, what's this handle? And you go, I don't know. So, you know, I mean, it may be, it ain't persimmon. I've got some familiarity with persimmon. It is not persimmon. This is, it could be ironwood, but I don't know really what ironwood. I hadn't had any. This has a slight yellow tint to it, but it is not as yellow as Bodock or Osage. But it is just as hard as Osage. So I don't know. I have fooled with some persimmon. This is a huge board. I mean, the tree that this come out of was a large tree, because the board was this wide and they cut it that thick, and I could see the rings in it. And now poplar's way softer than what this is. I've got poplar all on the front of my house. Poplar's actually fairly soft. This stuff, I'm telling you, it's as hard as Bodock. Just as hard as Bodock. I'm not really familiar with black locust, what it looks like when you cut it, but this was in a knife shop, so it could very well be something from overseas that he purchased somewhere. I don't know. I may not ever know what it is. So, and I had several different people make some good guesses at it and educated guesses, but I have no way of knowing who's right or what, you know. So anyway, it's just the way of the world, I guess. Well, we've got a board that we think is mahogany that is not purple, but I don't know. I've got I got several mystery woods now. All I can tell you, we're gonna make knife handles out of them and let the chips fall where they may. They'll make a good knife handle. Pecan is pretty hard. Now, I will say that because I have sunk a wood buster into it numerous times, and it never wants to split right. But I made the knife out of it, and I don't know if I posted a picture of it or not on there. I was going to, and I think I was fixing to sell the knife on Facebook. I was going to post it on there and sell it. And I had emailed one of the guys that wanted black walnut, and I was like, I don't have black walnut anymore. You want this? And he was like, yeah, I'll take that. So I sold it today. Just how it works, you know. But I really do. I want to get them on my Etsy shop. I would love, and I'm going to tell you what else I'm going to do, just so y'all are aware. If y'all remember last year, I went down there and took you on a tour and introduced you to my buddy that makes knives. He's been doing it for like 30 years, Mr. David Barrier. He is very good at it, has a lot of good equipment, has a kiln for knives to like an oven. I can do a soak if I need to. We can do any kind of steel we want to do. And he told me you're more than welcome to come down here and heat treat any blades you want to heat treat. And in fact, I'm the one that helped him get his oven running because I knew about kilns and he knew about knives. But I'm going to put some of his work because he's a very good knife maker and he has no way to sell his knives. You can't just stick them in a little old place uptown and hope somebody buys them. And he don't really familiar with the internet. I'm going to put his knives on my Etsy store, and I promise you they're better knives than mine are. He does some awesome frontier knives and stuff. He's very good at what he does. His work is to perfection. His knives is a little more expensive than my knives, but they are something to be proud of. And he's mentoring me, helping me work out some kinks and teach me some tricks and pass knowledge that he's saved down to me. And I'm in a favor to him. I'm going to help him sell his knives. So whenever I get set up to put my knives on there, I'm going to put some of his on there, and we're going to take some good pictures of them. So that is the future of the knife business. I'm going to try to do it through my Etsy store. If things go well, I may create a website at some point in time where you can just get on there and do it. But as of right now, when I get where I can, they're going to show up on my Etsy store. But every time I keep saying I'm going to put knives on there, somebody buys them before I can get them on there. If I post it on Facebook, it's usually sold within an hour. That's been the trick so far. That's a good problem to have. Larry, I have got a piece of a board that come from a pallet that came from overseas. Very hard wood. It was one of the runners under a pallet. It ain't as pretty as some of our wood here, but it is good wood. I don't know what it is either. And I've got a small block of it. I have not poured a bolster. I'll tell you this, I ain't never even really fooled with very many. I have made a few bolsters, especially like my buoys. I have not poured any, but I'll tell you what I've been doing. I've got a couple of bars of brass that I picked up out of that knife shop down there when I gathered up everything. And I've got a deer leg that I'm fixing to put I use my small scraps, and I've got a blade about that long that I've got a thin tang on. I'm going to insert it into a bone, and I'm going to put a brass bolster on it. But I did want to pour some brass out of like 22 cases. I have picked up all my 22 brass, what Brody hadn't got in. He gathered some of it up and playing with it. But I have got a good bit saved because you can't really reload that stuff. And I've got some old brass I picked up out of the yard that I shot years ago and just threw down. And I would like to melt that down and pour it. So I may be doing some of that in the future. I don't know that I will film it because I ain't good at it. You know what I mean? I may film it anyway. I mean, everybody likes to watch somebody trying to figure something out because that gives them something to comment on, going, hey, what you need to do is like this right here. This is what you ought to do. Don't listen to them other people. You need to do it like I'm telling you. Oh, Lord. Somebody, Larry, told me that they scanned this board with some kind of app and said it was teak wood. I know they use teak on ships and stuff, but I hadn't never had a piece of teak, so I wouldn't know if it was or not. I had never seen no e-pay. Never seen no e-pay. So. Well, it is raining harder and harder and harder, y'all. Look at that rain just steadily pouring off the edge of that roof. Boy, that is relaxed. I would have fallen asleep out here talking to y'all. My wife's in there boiling shrimp. Last weekend, Pork Chop brought us a bunch of shrimp and some watermelons. I ate a slice of watermelon a while ago. We cut one the day before yesterday. One day, me and Brody and Michelle cut one out here on the back porch. And I had to put it, we didn't eat in the refrigerator. We got shrimp out. She's in there going to boil shrimp. So I was going to cook out here. I got a deer roast that I was going to put on the grill. She thawed it out. And I was going to stuff it with cream cheese and jalapeno peppers. She said, the time you get off that lawnmower, you ain't got time for that. And I didn't. I ain't complaining. I made me some coffee. I said, because I'm so tired, I'm going to be asleep when I get to sit down still very long. I tell y'all what I did. I come in Tuesday night, I think it was. I was out there about 10 o'clock. I come in there and went to fiddling with the TV. She said, what you fixing to put on? I said, you'll see. In a minute, it started playing. She said, I knew you was putting Jeremiah Johnson on again. I made it all the way to where old paints his shirt red and told him, he said, you fish poorly. That's about the last thing I remember. I don't know what happened. Well, I know what happened, but I didn't see no more of it. I was asleep. Old paints his shirt said, I was shit. That's what he said for you fish poorly. I'm going to tell some folks that. Do I ever wear shorts? No, you ain't gonna catch me in no short sleeve breeches. No, I ain't. I don't be doing all that. That's for them city folks. That ain't for country folks. Don't be wearing no short sleeve breeches. I'll hush. I would have some fun with that, but I ain't. Somebody would get offended. The only movie Chris would give it a run for its money would be the movie Mountain Men with Charleston Heston and them, but they cuss so blooming much in it. I'd watch it just as much as I watch Jeremiah Johnson, but they get the GD in this and GD in that. I just can't handle it. I mean, somebody say, oh, you tender. I don't want to listen to that garbage. I mean, my ears ain't garbage cans. It's a good movie. I like the movie. I don't like to hear him holler GD every few minutes. That's the reason I quit watching Tombstone. Gets out of hand with all that mess. Ken, oh Lord. Frank B, I have stuff on Etsy, yes. The link is in every one of my videos. If you look in the description box, there's a link to Southern Mud Pottery. There's a link to my Amazon store, which is all the Amazon store is I have got a list on there of stuff that I have bought and used from Amazon that I believe is a good product that you see repeatedly in videos of stuff I'm doing. And when you buy it through that link, I get a very small commission on it. It's like if you bought $100 off of there, I might get $1 of it. You know what I mean? But that's what that is. And then there's a link to the Etsy store. There's a link to Southern Mud Pottery. So you can click on that and it'll take you to Southern Mud Pottery and you can shop our pottery, or you can go to my Etsy store and it's got all the t-shirts, coffee cups that's like, not my cups I made, but some coffee cups. These, all different kind of hooded sweatshirts, hats. I don't know what all is even on that. Dog shirts, I don't know what all. Chris, wear your shorts. It ain't no bother as long as you don't try to make me put a pair on. I tell y'all where it leads if you want my opinion on it. You see these boys been wearing shorts about, I don't know what they've been wearing shorts, about 30, 40 years now. Now you got about 50% of men that wear shorts done started shaving their legs. That's about what I think about it. You keep wearing them, you'll be shaving yours so long. Oh, Lord. I'm picking with y'all. Oh, me. Roscoe is laying right here at my feet. Come here, boy. Uncle Sasquatch ain't seen you today. Come here. Come on, buddy. He ain't got his collar on. I tell y'all why. Roscoe, tell him why you ain't got a collar on. Where's your collar? Huh? Where's your collar? We had Roxanne off the chain. Let her off the chain 2 days and she killed 2 baby chickens. I said, well, I'm going to have to put her up. I can't keep them in the pen. They keep getting out. So anyway, they was out the other night and they had, I was still working on knives out there. Heard the awfulest commotion and carrying on, cutting up like you ever heard. I mean, they commenced to bark and just cut down on one I'm talking about. They were showing out back, ooh, all the barking you ever heard in your life. I grabbed the light. I got me a new light right here from, Goodnight. I still ain't figured out how to pronounce this, but they done sent me another light I got to do another video on. This one, it's magnet too. But anyway, I had my light out there and I grabbed that headlight one that's got the angle thing on there and I throwed it on my head, grabbed my .22 rifle and I cut out there. I said, I know the way they carrying on. They something out here. I figured it was getting my rooster, which I didn't care. Something got one of them the other day. And I said, well, that's just one chicken I ain't got to feed. Went around out there, I kept looking. I said, I know there's something right here up one of these trees. Roscoe kept looking up the tree. Roxanne run around, she looking up the tree. I grabbed that .22. I seen a limb shake up there, and I threw that old headlight to the side over there. Where it looked right down that gun barrel. I seen his eyes light up there, and y'all, as big as fattest coon up in my muscadine vine you ever saw. He ain't up there no more. When he hit the ground, Roscoe grabbed him. Son, he liked to work him over there. I heard the awfulest, and Roscoe, I was running over there. I said, hey, let him go. Man, when I got around that, his blood everywhere. Roscoe, his whole front of his legs and everything had a good red tint to it. So we had to take his collar off and put him in that sink in the laundry room and scrub him down good. Did you enjoy fighting that raccoon? Boo Boo, he didn't ever lie. Got them Crocs tan. I had one of them cheetah tans on my feet a couple years ago. I got to where I wear it. Usually I either got these moccasins on, which these ain't really moccasins. These is my church shoes, I call them. And I either got them on or I'm barefooted. Now I've been wearing my boots. I got my Twisted X boots. I've been wearing down in the knife shop. But y'all, I like to tuck my breeches legs in. And the other day, old hot piece of metal went off down in there. And I remember my daddy when I went to helping him in the welding shop. He said, I ain't gonna tell you again to pull them breeches legs back down over them boots. But that was the style, you know, them truckers, they took them in on one side. I thought I was gonna be cool. I was about 20-something. Knew everything back then. So he outsmarted me. He said, I need you to get the cutting torch and cut these plates up. Boy, I run over. Oh, yeah, I know how to run a cutting torch. I just get with it. You know, I fire that thing up, trim it down. Oh, yeah. Boy, next thing I knew, I was a hooping and a hollering and jumping around, hopping on one foot, trying to get that boot off. Man, that coal went down in that boot, burned through my sock. Smoke was coming up out of my boots. Man, it burned the prettiest hole in the top of my foot you ever saw. You couldn't get that boot off. It was just shoving it tighter down in there. I said, man. I looked over at my daddy and he had this little funny looking grin on his face. He knew what he was doing the whole time. He didn't have to tell me no more to pull him down over there. I thought about that lesson when I was over there with them breeches legs tucked off down in them boots. Had my nudie boots, you know, that's what Hank Jr. called them. But I like my Crocs, but now I got a buddy of mine, he said he would never put another pair of Crocs on in his life. He had them, he wear flip-flops. He said he had a pair of them Crocs, he said they ain't nothing slicker than the inside of a wet Croc. He stepped on something. He pretty heavy old boy now. He pushing it, you know, 350, I guarantee you, or was at the time. And he stepped off sideways on something. His foot went through one of them holes in the end of his Croc. That thing run all the way up near about to his knee. He slid down in the hole there covered with mud, scraped his elbow up, hit the side of his head over on the bank. He come crawling back up out of that ditch bank. That Croc hanging off right below his knees out to the side, flopping over there. He ain't had a pair of Crocs on since. Broke him from sucking eggs. Oh. Robert Robinson knows that sportsman's plaque. The prayer was sent to me by Mr. C.J. Gaucher. He made that, or had it made on the internet and sent it to me very nice. It is on a table in there on our, we got one of them, it's a library table they call it. It's an antique table a lady gave me. And it was in rough shape. I cleaned that table up. I restored that table with WD-40. Sprayed it all over the wood and rubbed it in. Man, it put the prettiest finish on that wood you ever saw. So anyway, Ken, you got them fat. Hey, Ken, I do my best editing right after I hit that send button and I look and go, oh man, and I have to go click, 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 hit edit. I don't even use that predictive text. One of my buddies up here, he used to come up here. I don't see him much no more, come to think about it. I probably stay too busy. I think the last time he was up here, I put him to helping me do something, and he ain't been back. But anyway, he was up here one day. We were both hanging on the side of the back of a truck talking and, you know, just telling stories if you had one. And his wife called or texted or something, and he was trying to tell her something, and he'd use that predictor or that voice text, you know, where you mash a microphone on there and then you just talk to it what you want it to type out. Well, he was telling her what he wanted to say, and then it wouldn't say nothing. It kept typing it wrong, and he had to back it up, you know, because them things, they don't get our accent. It just struggles with that. He was over there griping about it, and he went to mashing that button again, backing it all out, and then he had to talk to it and tell it something, and when he said, that ain't what I'm trying to say, you stupid piece of junk something. He was just griping at it, and then he said, don't sin, don't sin, don't sin. Oh, it's sin. About that time, his phone started ringing, his wife said, what'd you say to me? Oh, Lord, he said, I was fussing at the phone, not you. I done got so tickled over there with him fighting with that phone. I was laughing so hard my sides was hurting. Boo-boo, I ain't never really hunted for any artifacts. I'll tell y'all what happened to the artifacts in this part of the country. See, folks was poor back 50 years ago, and they plowed, they cut down every tree with an axe and dug his stumps up with a pickaxe. And then they plowed every square inch of this ground around here that had water running in it with a mule. And you know, if you walk behind a mule long enough, you're going to scratch up every arrowhead they are around, and they done pocket all of them. Now, I don't know what happened to them, but they ain't none no more. So I ain't never found none. They are, and I don't know how much stone tips the Choctaw Nation used here. They I'm sure they traded with the Cherokee, and there is a few quartz quarries around, but it's not like up in the Cherokee and the mountains and all where there was just rocks everywhere and you could stop and pick up and make arrow stone points anywhere. There just wasn't a lot of it, so I don't know. Marsh Mutt, I can leave my house and be in the water in about 20 minutes. If I leave here on my buggy going, sometimes faster than that, depending on where I'm going. But it's about 3 or 4 miles over to the access point, and then I usually go 2 or 3 miles back up into the swamp. But we ought to have plenty of water, but the problem with that swamp is you can probably go catfishing. I bet the catfish is biting right now. And I got some fresh deer liver in the freezer. We might have to go catfishing one day. I wanted to attempt to smoke some catfish, but I haven't got to do the videos. I've got to redo, and I don't know, I made mention of this the other day, y'all. I owe everybody an apology, and I have got to redo the sweet gum video. I got on here and blatantly said I don't find no information to support the fact that people's using these sweet gum balls for medicine. They calling it Tamiflu. Well, in the book that I had in my hand, over in that little blue box up in the corner that I didn't read, it did say you could use the fruit. Now, there's no drastic amount of information, so the information comes from Mr. Bass that some Patton fellow, Darrell Patton, has got a book out that I'm probably going to try to eventually get. I think he's probably pretty good at what he does, or was. I don't know if he's still doing it or alive or what. I don't know that much about him. The information is in that book. So all these reels and all these videos you see save that that wilderness legacy. He reached out to me and told me, he's like, that information is in that book. He said it ain't much in there, but it is in that book. He said most of the information comes from Darrell Patton. They have researched the book and have the actual information. I don't. And I don't do medicinal plant videos just because I seen it on a video over here. You know what I mean? It's okay for you to learn from a video and go, well, I'm going to try this at home and see if it works because I saw it on a video. That's what this is all about. But I'm not going to take information that I just saw on a video somewhere and turn around and try to teach it to you like I know what I'm talking about. If I can't find it in a book, I'm not going to teach it. And that's what I was doing with that. It is in the book that I have. It does briefly mention the fruit. However, it is still, those sweet gum balls is only about 30% strength of what actual Tamiflu is. The sap out of it is by far the better thing to use to make the medicine. But I took that video down because I don't want any misinformation. I don't want to be guilty of lying to y'all or telling y'all wrong. So I'm going to do another sweet gum video here pretty quick. I hadn't had time to film it, just so that I can make sure I have got correct, good information out there. And y'all, I don't have a problem admitting I'm wrong. You know, that ain't what this is all about. Like, oh, I'm right, everybody. That ain't why I do what I do. So whenever, you know, I did figure out, hey, that you really can use it, I took the reels, the video, everything down. Just to clarify that, because some of you may have not even noticed that I took it down, you know, but I did. I don't mind admitting it. I don't mind clarifying it. And when I film the next video, I will make mention of it. I ain't ashamed to say I was wrong about something. If you can't never admit that you're wrong about something, you can't never really learn no whole lot. I figured that out one time in life. Hey, it's CJ Gaucher. We was just talking about him. Chris, yes, I am in, actually I am in the edge of Nanawarya. This is the Nanawarya Wildlife Management Area behind my house, and there's a Nanawarya Indian mound less than 2 miles, 3 miles from my house as the crow flies. It takes me 7, 8 miles to drive to it. But there's one factual mound. Now there's another big mound in the swamp. I have filmed it in past videos, but we don't think the Native Americans built it. We think it is water left there from when the flood waters drained off the earth. There was rocks in this one place, and wherever there's a big pile of rocks, well, there's a swath of dirt behind it, as tall as those rocks are. Basically where the water rushed around those rocks when it was draining off the flood waters. There's a couple in Alabama, and I had a guy reached out to me, and we shared some information. He was wanting to know about this mound, and he shared this information with me, and everything was pretty well spot on. He showed me the topographic maps where these in Alabama are. Every one of them is in low floodplains. Every one of them is curved and shaped the same, and they look very much like the weight behind a boat, you know, when you're going through the water. So, but the Choctaws built burial mounds. But now I had one Choctaw man tell me that he said this is not a burial mound. He said this mound is hollow on the inside. I don't know if he knows what he's talking about or not, but he said they covered the door up with earth. He said when they would fight, he said they'd put the women and children in there, and then they would cover the door up with dirt where nobody could get to them. So whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that was what I was told. Never tried flint knapping, really ain't got time for that kind of a hobby. I would love to learn how to do it and maybe do that one day when I get some material to do it with. And I may have a little bit, but I have got so much going on, I hadn't had time to experiment with flint knapping. Interested in it, would love to learn it, you know, but time consuming. I'm going to make my arrowheads as I make my knife blades. I am saving some scrap out of them saw blades. I'm going to make my own broadheads, 2 blade out of the metal, and put them in privet shafts and put turkey flexions on them, and we're going to make some arrows here before long. I've got a block target from Cow I've got to do a review on. I'm piling up some stuff. I got to do a bunch of reviews, and I didn't want to do them all at one time, and it looks like that's what's going to wind up happening. I got this light in my pocket. I got some night vision binoculars coming. I got a bag from Tideway. They sent a pack frame that is awesome out here. I got to do a video on it, and I've got this block arrow archery target I got to do a review on. I'm not taking no more products to do reviews on for a while. Time I get all of that done. But yeah, Chris, we're going to do an arrow making video for sure. Yes, Chris, I made a video on that mound. I have actually showed it in a couple of videos, but Harold Neely, good to see you. Catch you a bunch of fish. I filmed it in one of my camping videos down there. I paddled up. I was going to camp on it, and I just chose not to. I found a better place. One thing, I didn't want to tote all my stuff up and down that steep hill. It's 45 degrees up it just about it. Natural for neuropathy pain. Frank, the best thing for any kind of pain that I know of is wild lettuce. Wild lettuce is a sleep aid. Wild lettuce tincture is about the most practical way to store it. You can use it raw, the lacticarium right out of the plant. Just nick it and lick that white lacticarium. It works. It's bitter, tastes awful. But an alcohol tincture is about the easiest, simplest, most practical way to use it and store it, and effective. The black tar is stronger. I did the videos on it just to show methods of doing that, how to do it. I don't do that a lot, and I don't use that a lot. Really, if I'm hurting, I'll grab that tincture and just take a swig out of it, and it works. It's helped my elbow, but now I have helped my elbow. I got this copper wire on there for the purpose of my elbow, and it's getting better. And then I'm eating about 4 pokeberries a day, and that helps with the inflammation, joint irritation and stuff. So, and it's helping. We getting some rain, John Campbell. We sure are. Boo Boo's 511 gonna send you some shorts, and you're gonna have to make a video on. Oh Lord. Yeah, Randall Raw, I could see where it'd come in handy for that. For sure. Roasted dandelion root tea. You know, Rodney, I have never made it. I dried some out for the purpose of doing that and let it sit there and dry and got mold on it, and I throwed it away. I got too much going on. I had to throw away. I had some of my greenbrier roots. I am about out of my greenbrier root tincture, and I had some dried, and I put them in a coffee can, and I didn't realize them coffee cans was that airtight. I knew they was pretty well airtight, but I didn't think about them being that tight. And it got moisture in there. They wouldn't completely dry, and they molded, and I had to throw them out. So I got to go dig some more up to make my tincture out of. Martin Melzer said, I tried flint knapping once. I ended up with a lot of very sharp gravel. That's probably what's going to happen to me. There's a lot of black rock on the banks of Kentucky Lake up there. We stopped up there sightseeing, walking around, and I picked a piece or two up and brought it home, but I don't know what it's good for. I don't know that much about that kind of stuff. I tell y'all all about the stuff I do know, but I don't mind telling you, there's a lot of stuff I don't know doodle about. I feel like if I got interested in it and started trying it, I could do it. I mean, I don't think it's beyond my ability to figure out, but I just hadn't done it. Frank said, are pokeberries safe? They are in moderation, just like taking pain pills. If you go over there and pick you a cluster of pokeberries and eat the whole batch in one setting, they probably gonna kill you. If you'll eat 3, 4, maybe 5 a day, you'll be fine. They're good for you. Good for arthritis, joint pain, such as that. But you can't go over there and make pokeberry pie out of it. It'll kill you. So that's that. The most powerful part of the plant is the seed. So don't chew it up, just swallow the berries whole. Don't crunch them seeds up with your teeth. Swallow the berries whole and they'll pass through. You won't ever even know it. And then the root, you can make a tincture out of that big root. Be careful with it. Take it by drops, not by swallows. So that is one of the reasons I have not made much pokeberry tincture. I think it would be the most practical way to use, and I may make some this year, and experiment with it a little bit through the winter. But I'm bad to grab a bottle of something over out of tincture and just take a swallow out of it for medicine when I need it, you know. I ain't good at dosing, you know. What rifle am I deer hunting with? Oh God, I couldn't tell you. I'm determined to kill a deer with my 30-30. I have not done that yet. I'm gonna hunt with my muzzle loader a good bit. I want to kill a deer with that one I'm worked on. I hadn't got out there and shot it much. Need to do that. I got a lot of stuff I gotta do. I ain't got time to not be making videos. But anyway, I have got my favorite 2 rifles. One is a rifle I have had for many, many, many years. It's a 7mm 08, and you've seen it last year in video. It's short for walking and toting around and needing a scope, which my eyes ain't that great. I kind of need a scope to be successful. I like it. Ain't never failed me. Very few deer have walked off from that rifle. And then I have a 270 short mag. That is a Brown and A bolt, left-handed bolt. Hey. In a minute, will you fill it up, my cup?
Yeah, I was going to see if you wanted your shrimp right
now. I do.
I'm
hungry. You can bring them to me if you'll bring me some coffee to go with it. Please, ma'am.
What's he doing?
He is being the star of the show. He has got a grin on Uncle Sasquatch's face from ear to ear.
I tried to get him to come in while ago.
Look at him. He's got it made, ain't he? Look at him. That arm of that chair is too hard. We need us a recliner right here is what we need. And ain't it, son? Can't get comfortable in this blooming old hard chair. That's my buddy right there, y'all. I tell you, I don't know what I'd do without him. Don't know what I'd do without him. Chris said I'm still confused on how to make tinctures. Chris, let me simplify it for you. Take whatever plant you're tincturing, pack it in a jar. It really don't matter if it's green or if it's dried out. Or I hear a lot of people say, oh, it's got to be this. There's not enough moisture in the green plant material for it to affect a whole lot. The only benefit to it being dried out is it will absorb in more alcohol. Here's the flip side of that. When you squeeze it out, that's less moisture is going to come back out of it too. It's going to hold that same amount of moisture in it because it ain't a drop full. So, it really don't matter if it's green or dry or what, but you pack that plant material in a jar and you cover it with, I use old Red Label vodka, and let it set for 30 days and then strain it off and take it. That is all there is to it. It's as simple as it gets. It needs to be kept out of light. It don't need to be in the light. Y'all look at him.
Oh,
look at that.
So Roscoe don't forget.
In that skillet right there.
Yeah.
The picking knives up out there. I don't need them. You can lay them on that table or something over there.
Roscoe, you don't need them shells.
Roscoe can't eat. Let's see if these. Did you put any spice in there?
I tried. But I don't like spicy stuff.
May need that. I'll be all right.
I put some Tony's on it.
Hand me that salt shaker though for these potatoes. The inside of them. I don't know which one of them salt. You didn't blow on them none, did you? I don't know what we was talking about, y'all, but these shrimp just changed the whole conversation, didn't they? I stuck the wrong part in my mouth.
He likes spicy and I don't.
Yeah. Well, I just leave it right there. I like some heat to my food. I like when my lips is burning. Keep licking them. Magnolia Mama, you can put it in there green. Now it may wind up a little bit better product if you dry it. I did mine green and it works fine. And that's what I go on. I read stuff and you hear, especially in videos, you hear a lot of different people say a lot of different stuff. I try something. I'll just say, well, I'm gonna just see if this works. I don't know if it does or not till I experiment with it. And I put mine in there green, and I dried some stalk and scraped it. I didn't dry it on purpose. I had just picked all the leaves off making tea or something, and I laid the stalks down. But I think I did scrape a few of the green ones too, because there's a lot of lactocarum in that outside layer of that stalk. A lot of folks get hung up wanting to run that through a juicer. They want to get all that juice out of that plant. That juice really ain't, you're really wasting your time with that, for the most part. I can't see the benefit of the juicer. I tried it, and then everybody was like, oh, you got to have one of these, $500 juicers. It'll do it. If I'm going to spend $500 on a juicer to get plantain medicine, I'll just go buy me some Lortabs. Come on, let's get real with this now. I ain't buying no $500 juicer to squeeze juice out of a plant that I really don't think is necessary. I think you can chop the stalk up whole and put it in there and tincture it as well. But the lactocarum is in the outside layer of that stalk, and it's all in the leaves, and that is, for the most part, the part that you're after. I've got some information. I printed off about 25 or 30 pages off the internet on identifying the different species of lactuca by chemical compound and how it acts and reacts. I had to get a book to be able to identify it by looking at it, what's the difference in these species. And really, I found out they really and truly ain't but about 3 different species. Everybody keeps talking about, oh, this is this, and this is that, and this is that. That book on the Audubon Society really describes about 3 different species, and that's about it. So, you got to take a lot of this information that people are spreading around on the internet may not actually be factual, I don't know. It might be, but like I said, I go by what I find in a book. Good information. I don't be watching somebody else's video and go, oh, okay, and then reteach that. That ain't worth a flip. You don't know if them folks is right or not. And I don't get information off of a blog on the internet. Anybody can get on there nowadays and make a professional looking website and put anything they want on there. It ain't got to be the truth. You can't even get the truth from a news media. Neither one of them. And y'all know I'm telling you the truth. Them potatoes is pretty good now. I bet old Pork Chop watching me eat these ball shrimp. He brought these to me, y'all, last weekend. Look how big them doggone shrimps are. Man, Roscoe, you can't have seafood. You just get the seafood. You don't get to eat it. Lord help, I thought I wouldn't get no comments. It was stuck, wasn't scrolling. Raymond Royal, the puppy's doing okay. As far as I know they are. I got pictures of them the other day. One of them, they ain't but one that ain't claimed. There's a lady, Miss Judy Plumley's coming to get one of the little girls, and there's one other female that's going to be available for $100. Gotta come get it. If you got a $100 bill and you willing to drive to Mississippi, you better get to emailing me if you want. There's a white female left is it. Peas picked with a 17, somebody said, yep. Well, Chris, hang tight if you're interested in skinning a knife, because I am going to make some odd and end different stuff. I want to broaden my horizons. We will always make and sell the Jonah knife here at Spirit of the Outdoors. But we will be adding some new knives, sheaths. They will be some one-of-a-kind knives that they may not ever be but one made like it. Just because that's the way I like to do things. But I am going to add one of these little short stubby knives. I don't know which profile. Maybe the drop point seems to be the more popular of the two. I'm sure there's people that like both, but one of them I will make and be a line of my knives, and I'm going to make a longer knife. I'm going to do like a mountain man knife. Y'all, I'll go back and catch up with all these comments. If y'all asking questions and want to know stuff right now while I'm eating, I'm missing them. I don't miss them on purpose, but this is the first thing I've eaten today. I done started getting fat, y'all. I edit my videos. I see what I look like. I got to looking at my belly hanging out there. I was like, oh God, I got to do something. And I'll tell you what caused it. Michelle got in there and got to baking them cinnamon rolls. My Lord. Every time I walked through the house, I had one in my hand eating on it. And then them cat head biscuits, and I told her, I was like, look, honey, them biscuits is good. We're going to have to quit making them every morning. We can't, I like them now. I wish I had them every morning, but man, they'll make you fat. I said, deer season's coming up, and I liable to have to drag one a half a mile or something. You know, I don't want to be so fat I can't walk to do it. Some folks, they wonder why they stay so tired. You know, they just always just wore out. I'm like, well, you working yourself to death just toting you around. You think about it now. I know some folks can't help it, but I can. This is the first thing I've eaten. I had a man told me, we was cooking breakfast over at our cabin one morning. He come up wanting something worked on. We said, oh, sit down and eat a bite. We'll go fix it in just a second. He said, I can't eat. He said, I don't eat but once a day. He said, I start eating 2 or 3 times a day. I go to getting fat. He knew what he was talking about, too, because he could hide behind a T-post. Now we got some corn on the cob. Oh, man. Oh. Y'all ain't got no corn on the cob boiled in that crab boil right now. I have. I'm winning. My Lord. I may have to leave y'all sitting out here and go get another one of these. I'll be picking corn out of my teeth the rest of the night. But that was good, and it'll be all right till we revisit it again in the morning. Let's get that poured right over there. Let me go sit. You wipe your hands on your breeches. Your long sleeve breeches. That's why I wear long pants. I gotta have somewhere to wipe my hands. right, I'm back with you. How many of y'all left while I was gone? Come back, don't be running off. I'll come back. I don't stay gone long. Folks steadily leaving. Look, the number just dropped. Ain't doing that because I showed back up. Well, what all have I missed here? All right. Martin Meltzer said to quote, "You can't trust any information you find on the internet," George Washington. Reckon he said that. A Canadian belt style knife. I had to check into some of that. Alright, I may have missed some stuff. If there's comments up there while I was eating, y'all, you may have to resend it if you asked a question, because there's too much stuff to go back through there and read through all that. Oh. Jimmy Glenn said he couldn't believe I was making fat jokes. I'll make jokes about anybody. I can really pick on me. I didn't cook anything, Huckleberry. My wife boiled them shrimp I just got through polishing off. And that corn on the cob is as fine a corn I've had this year. Yeah, we went a long time, John, with no rain here too. And we finally getting it. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, I enjoy a rainy day. A lot of people, if it's weather like this, they get all depressed. I don't. It ain't hot. I don't like hot weather. I don't. I get depressed when the sun's shining and it's 100 degrees and the humidity is 100%. You out there like that trying to breathe, soaking wet with sweat. That ain't pleasant. All that spraying they doing out of them airplanes up there is starting to work. You know, if it's cooling us off like this, I don't care, let them spray. It makes me mad. Oh, Lord. Yeah, I mean, if we die of cancer or something, man, it's just tough luck. It's better than burning up and sweating to death, I'll tell you. You have to choose the lesser of the two evils. Have I ever raised guineas? Yes, and I couldn't get rid of them things fast enough. They won't never be another squawking loud guinea. Them things is so loud you can't hear yourself think. I don't like no guineas. Now I got a neighbor over here. He had a bunch, which he ain't got in now. He got bad health and couldn't see after them, but he got rid of everything. Actually had to move in with his son. But he loved his guineas. And every day or two, you'd see 2 or 3 of them out in the road run over, and he'd go buy some more. He had about 40 running around the yard. He liked them. I didn't care nothing about having to listen to them. The chickens is loud enough. In fact, I'm trying to get rid of my chickens. I've had enough of chickens. I'm done raising all these chickens. I like them, but I got too many other irons in the fire to be out there. It's just an expense of buying feed for stuff. Mike Reed, how are you tonight, buddy? Tommy will show up when we start talking about Tommy. His ears will get to burning. Matthew Gray's asked, have I been fishing any? I have not this week. I have not. This is the first week that I ain't fished in over a week. Since the Kemper Lake trip was the last fishing I done. I saved my crickets. I was going to take them over to the pond and catch a few more brim. Another day I finally just turned them out and I poured them out in the yard. I said they had started dying and I was putting potatoes in there. Usually I can keep crickets alive. I'll sprinkle some water in there every day, but they started dying, and I just... Mike, you went to a tent meeting? I seen a tent meeting here a couple of years ago, but I wanted to build a brush harbor and have an actual brush harbor meeting. They used to talk about the power of the Lord moving in old brush harbors. And that was what they put up some poles and put, brush all on the top of a frame and made a brush harbor just to get the shade, to get out of the heat. And man, they'd get in there and preach from late in the evening to 11 o'clock at night. They'd come out of there rolling in the dirt and everything else. They had church around here, though, in barns and houses and everything else back in the early days. Ryan Foster, if you'll put onions in there with your crickets, you'll catch twice as many fish. Fact. I've tried it, seen it work. Put onions. Feed your crickets onions. Cut up your big old onion. Put the slices in there. I'm telling you it works. Paw D, y'all will catch them tomorrow. The water gonna be rising. If I was gonna fish for anything after all this rain, it'd be catfish, because they'll bite when that water's rising, fresh water. Brim and grinnell and crappie and all that stuff, they get lockjaw, especially in this swamp down here. Now, that's for everybody except Richard Jean, the fishing machine. You can spit on the ground and he can catch a fish in it. Yeah, keep talking about old Tommy. He'll come dragging in a little bit and take over the whole news feed. They won't nobody be able to type nothing. Tommy will get in here and go to type and message right after message. Y'all won't be able to get a word in edgewise. You'll have to get you a wood splitter to make a crack in the comments just so you can type something. And then it'll go by so fast they won't nobody get to read it. Oh, Lord, how did Tommy get to be a Friday night celebrity? He is the most talked about individual. He's the only one that cannot show up and still get mentioned in every video. Now, how did he get so popular? Jimmy, you like worms? I like worms, but I very seldom ever buy them and fish with worms. And I don't know why, really. I mean, they're good bait. If I'm going brim fishing, I just always buy crickets. I guess habits is hard to break, ain't they? Papa D, I tell you how I learned that. I was with my fishing, my old buddy Kevin Robertson one day. We was in the boat. I got the boat with him. And we was down there on the creek, and we had drifted up against this log. There's a brim bed right over there on the other side of that log over there, and we was throwing over there, and I mean that cork would sit there a second and go, zoop. Man, we was working them over. But I got to noticing that we'd both drop over there in that little old hole where they was at, and his cork would take off. And mine would sit there a minute or two, bumping. And then he'd bait it, he'd get it off, and I'd be wiggling around. He was catching 2 to my 1. And I said, man, I can't get over there. And I'd get my cork when he was getting his fish off. I'd move my cork over there where he just caught one. And it'd bounce around. And I'd catch one. So what in the world? I said, man, we done been sitting there 10, 15 minutes. He done caught 8 or 9 fish. And I had about 3. I said, what in the world's going on? He picked his cricket cage up and grinned. And he had a half onion cut up in there. I said, what is that? He said, onion. Yeah, I know for a fact it works. John, you been babysitting grandyoungins? You probably having just as good a time as you would be fishing. Jenny Bear, good night. Good to see you. Have a good night's sleep. You can rewind it and listen to this rain. Y'all know what I need to do when this is over. I need to just turn the camera on, shining on something out there, and let y'all play about 45 minutes of just listening to this rain hit on this metal roof. If I had a fire going in that firebox right there, I could put the camera on that and let it listen. Man, that video would get millions of views. You listen to that and go sound asleep. See you later, Chris. I hope y'all catch a bunch Sunday. Put it on them, son. Put it on them. Chartreuse red wigglers. I don't know what they're feeding them, but they work pretty good. I ain't never seen no char. They probably dipping them in that dye, I reckon. Ken Rivers said, he said, add you some green bell pepper and celery along with a good dark roux with them onions, and if you don't catch no fish, you can have a good old cricket etouffee. Oh, there's one in every crowd, ain't it? Oh, Lord. Ryan, I do enjoy the rain. I ain't joking. If it's raining, I can get down there in that shed and work, and I ain't tempted to be out wanting to do something else. And I can relax now because I have my grass cut. I've been worried about this yard, I need to get the grass cut. Now I finally got that done, I can rest. I ain't kidding y'all, this yard was nearly knee high. Use mealworms for brim. Well, I'll tell you this, I had you a good bait. Thursday, I went to take a garbage to the road, and when I pulled that last bag up out of there, I don't know what she throwed away, but they was some of the biggest maggots in that garbage. I looked at them, I said, boy, them would make some good fish bait, but there ain't no way you'll catch me using them. Hey, I'll tell y'all what Grandpa used to do. Grandpa used to get his hat. He'd go up there to a wasp nest and he'd whoop every one of them wasps off with his hat. I mean, fight them. And he'd reach over and grab that nest and put it in his pocket. He'd leave, head to the creek, and he'd dig them larvas out of that wasp nest and catch brim with it. Now, that's wanting to fish bad right there now. And hey, I'm going to tell you something. If a man will take his hat and fight a wasp nest over fish bait, you don't dare tell him he can't go fishing. His wife wouldn't say a word. He said, I'm fixing to go fishing. She said, all right. I hope you catch a bunch. Oh, Lord. All right, Fly. Gordon May, how you doing? Having to work tonight? Somebody's got to do it. I've done it for a long time. I ain't never had a job I had to, well, yeah, I did. When I was doing diesel mechanic work, there was a lot of times we worked till midnight. But like I said, I stayed down there making knives till 10 o'clock the other night, so can't say no whole lot, I don't reckon. Quit working for the public and work for yourself, they said. Take it easy. You know, people that own their own businesses make lots of money and they don't have to do all the work. Yeah. Somebody that runs their own business is the brokest individual on the workforce and doing twice as much work as everybody else and got 3 times the headache. I don't know if it's worth it or not, but I'll tell you this, as long as I can stay here at the house and make my living, I'll just keep digging. But Jimmy Glenn, after a while, Bobby would go and leave him sitting on the porch. He'd sit in that swing with a glass of ice water. She'd go fishing and catch fish and come back and clean them and cook them. Now, that's when you got it made. When you get a woman trained to go catch her own fish, come back and clean them and cook them and feed them to you, by God, you don't ever get rid of a woman like that. A woman to do that, she's got her place of living locked down. She ain't never gonna get run off of nothing. And then if she can make cat head biscuits to boot, you couldn't put a price on her. Oh, Lord, Lord. Did midnight to 8, 3 years, driving a front end loader of fertilizer plant. Modern outdoors, crappie is hard to beat. I ain't gonna sit here and say it's the best fish to eat there is. I like grinnell myself. I think it's number one. I like catfish pretty good, but the crappie's right up there. I like to. My biggest reason for crappie fishing is I enjoy fishing with jigs. It's just fun because they're hard to catch at times. Crappie, they the kind of fish, if they there, you know they there, and they might bite and they might not, you know. That's just the truth. So it's a challenge, but I enjoy doing it. It's a lot of, but the next thing is I can fillet them. That's usually if you catch a few crappie, they're a big enough fish you can fillet it, and you get some fillets. And my wife, she ain't gonna eat nothing with a bone, and then Brody, I had to pick bones out for him. So if I got a bunch of fillets, I can cut the rib section out of a bunch of them and cook them for them. And I like to eat off the bones. I think the bones add a lot of flavor. But Steve May, thank you for joining us and watching. Cal Bobby, that is my grandma. Actually, she's my step-grandmother, and she's passed away now. But my real grandmother passed away way before I was born. Actually, when my mama was like in her 20s, 19 or something, she passed away, and don't really know from what. Could have been cancer. Don't really know. And my grandpa remarried after that because, I mean, he was still fairly young at the time. And she was the only grandma I ever knew. So I just called her Mama, Mama Alford. But her name was Bobby. And she had her a straw hat about this big around, big old long denim skirt, button-up shirt. And she'd be down there in that hot summer, dude, right out there at that pond fishing. She'd catch her some brim or catfish, and she'd come back and clean every one of them. Papa D, I'll be honest with you, I ain't real picky about eating fish. I like fish, and I can eat about any of them. I had never really ate very many fish that I just thought was bad, and I caught some goggle eye one time. I don't know if it was on the bed or what. We caught them. I ought not tell you, but we caught them in a basket. I was a kid. And we pulled them things and we poured them in the bottom of the boat, and that was the stinking. Man, I went to grabbing them and throwing them back out in the water. We didn't keep not near one of them. I don't do that no more. The Lord got us for cheating. That's what he done. Go get her done, Gordon. Get her done. Modern Outdoors, they are in the more muddier southern waters. Now, I see people catching them all up in Michigan and everywhere else, but they're not in like mountain runoff. Them cold water streams, they not in that. So any of those mountain brook streams, deep mountain cold lakes, they not gonna be. And I find over there around where like Richard Jean is, you never see him fishing them and catching them in any of those creeks. And I'm assuming there's water running out of those hills out of the southern Appalachia. So I don't reckon they're there either. But now, we have them abundantly here. And I see them throughout the Midwest because there is a bowfin fishing page on Facebook called Bowfin Underground. Somebody added me to it. And you see them catching them all up and down through it. And then I see them on Instagram. Red belly good eating, Jimmy. Red bellies is good eating. But they've been hard to come by. Can you eat sucker fish? Yes, you can eat them. It's a carp. There's several different species of them, according to what I found on the internet. Me and my buddy Donald Near was looking at them, and you can catch them with worms, I think. And I've seen people fishing for them with corn. I have seen uh, Richard Gene Fish Machine was catching them with cereal and oatmeal and something else. They mixed it all up and made a ball and was fishing with it and catching them. So, I don't know. I hadn't ever tried to cook them. Yep. I'm about tired, y'all. That rain just making me sleepy. It's coming down. It ain't raining hard, but we getting a good, this is what we call a good soaking rain. It ain't coming a storm, it's just raining. I might go in there and watch Jeremiah Johnson again. Yeah. I'll watch it over and over. If I like something, I'm gonna get the good out of it. Baba D. I've heard that on several things. No, Larry, I ain't fixing to go to Sac. Not just yet. I tell you what's catching up with me. It's setting all this knife stuff up and the stress of trying to get figured out. Like yesterday I started experimenting with a different patina method. That corn on the cob got me, I think. But anyway, my buddy down here, he has experimented with several different methods for patina and a knife blade. One of them, I had all the stuff right here. It's household products for the most part. And so I started experimenting with it. Works really well and will eliminate me from having to heat up the apple cider vinegar and stuff. You can put it in this solution and just let it soak. And then you can add, like I added copper wire into it and it started dissolving it. And it will add that copper color into the blade. It looks almost like rust, but it ain't, it's copper. So I may do another vat of it and put some brass in it and see if I can add a golden looking color. We're gonna just play with it and see. But I've been down there experimenting, and then some of the blades I messed up and I had to sand them off and redo them. And some of them went a little far. One of them went a little far and I actually liked it. I don't know that everybody's gonna like it. We'll see, but Jimmy Glenn, you ain't never ate no griddle? Oh, Lord. You know, Carol, I forgot it was going to be fair. Yeah, the week of the fair, it'll rain all next week. That in the Neshoba County Fair, it's going to be a monsoon when they have it. Horse be breaking legs and whatnot. You might as well get ready. You'll get a call here about 10:30. You're going to have to go out there and get somebody with a head split open or some drunks out there go to fist fighting. Ryan Forrester, I hadn't put a flat plate on that cooker because I hadn't needed one. I've got a Blackstone, so I think it would work really well. I think the heat would be concentrated into those two areas over the eyes, but still would serve the purpose very well. You know, I don't know. Don't know. I really ain't thought about trying to make one. It may happen one day, you never know. Jimmy Glenn, they won't catch me at the fair. I ain't got nothing against it. Somebody wants to go, you go get all of it you want. But hey, too many folks and too much walking around and too much chaos and too many drunks for me. I have found there's two kind of people that I don't like in life. One of them I ain't got to deal with no more, but over the course of my whole life, I found out there's two kind of people that I don't want to be around. I don't want to be around a sober person when I'm drunk, and I don't want to be around a drunk when I'm sober. And since I don't drink no more, I don't have to worry about one option. So I just don't want to be around a drunk. And I used to be one. I ain't no more. I don't miss them days, not none. I am not tempted to get drunk out of my mind no more. I don't know why I used to like it so much. It could. It might rust. I have finally got it cured to where I'm not battling the rust too much anymore on that Blackstone, but I don't know. You never know. I'm going to change the grating on that cooker that I made. It's sagging a little bit right over the eye, and I need something heavier and more solid there. So I don't know. I'll find something that works on it. Vista, well, my neighbors, when you're there, what neighbors have I got up there? They talking about that fire. Oh, Lord. Yeah, you know, when I used to love that fire, I thought I needed to be out there and partying. Honest to God, when I quit drinking, actually, before I quit drinking, I lost interest in it. I'm going to show y'all something. He's had enough. He was up there pawing on that door trying to get in. You ready to go inside? Oh, Lord, now y'all got to see all my junk over there that I try to keep out of the camera. See, I had to get it at a special angle so y'all think my place looks decent. Pile all that junk over yonder. Backyard fun, good to see you. Glad you joined in. We're gonna keep pumping out videos. I have got, and I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I've got these couple of review videos I have got to get done, and I hate to put a bunch of review stuff. I don't want to jumble my whole thing up like I'm just peddling stuff all the time. It's like these little lights right here. They wanted to send me another one, and I was like, sure, send it on. And it's a great little light. I mean, for a pocket light, this is the one to have. But is it better than any of the other lights? I don't really know. I mean, it's got like 6 modes and rechargeable. Got a magnet on the back. I mean, it'll stick to the metal, but the headlight that's got the oscillating head with a magnet on the back, and you can take it in and out of the headlight, that is the light. That is like by far the best. The only thing, if it had a red mode on it, it hands down would be the light to buy. And they last a long time. You don't have to charge these every time you get ready to use them. So, Dog said he is tired, boss. Yeah, he was ready to go in. Yeah, Martin, Roscoe's got me trained good. Modern outdoors, you camera shy. I'll say this about a YouTube channel. You just gotta be yourself. Don't try to act like somebody else. Don't try to put on to be like anybody else you've watched out there. That's like me. I mean, I love a lot of other people and the way they do stuff, and there's some people that they have a professional look to everything and everything's spot on, and I can't do all that. I have to just be me. My personality just has to come through. And with me though, the downside to my deal is with my personality, the way I just be me. If I'm having a bad day, it shows through the videos. If I'm stressed and in a hurry and just not feeling it, it's like tonight. I have had a rough, hard week, but I won. I was behind in money. I have had to pump knives out to get caught up. We've had to get pottery done to get paid, to get the bills paid. And as of this afternoon, I finished off that I've got all the money to cover all the bills. And we got to go deliver. We've got the gas money to go deliver this pottery we got paid for. And we slick with everything. And it's like, okay, we made it. I feel good. I can rest. Now, I ain't got to, we got it made. So the thing that drives me is this sense of accomplishment. It's not about the money. Having a wad of $100 bills in my pocket is the least desirable thing I can think of. There's some people that I know they ain't happy unless they got a wad of money in their pocket, and that's just what they like. I could care less about it. If my bills is paid and I got food to eat and I can go fishing when I want to, that is the top of the hill for me. So that's like right now, this week, I'm in a good mood tonight. I'm cracking jokes, I'm laughing. It is because I've worked hard, I'm tired, but I feel good. I feel like I have accomplished what I set out to do this week. I had a challenge in my face, and I had to face it, and I made it. And that shows through. When you're doing YouTube, your life is on camera. People gonna pick up on that stuff. You can't hide it. So if you keep a professional about everything, then you can kind of keep some of that stuff from showing up as much, but then people miss out on all the great stuff, the fun and the happiness and I share a lot of my struggles at times, not because I want people to feel sorry for me and think about how hard I got it. I ain't got it no harder than nobody else. I share my struggles because I want other people to realize, hey, everybody else is struggling. You're not sitting at home watching my life on YouTube thinking, oh, this guy's got this perfect life and everything just falls into place and it's perfect. No, I face problems just like everybody else. And I think that helps people to understand, if you're watching somebody and you say, hey, they're facing this and they're going through this, it ain't so that people will start feeling sorry for me and want to send me money. And I don't want nobody sending me money. I don't. I really don't. It's just not what I want to do. Now, it's going to there's some things in life that I want to do that I may require that. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But I ain't trying to have a pity party to get people to feel sorry for me. That ain't me. I'll take care of me. I'll make it. I'm going to be all right. I got faith in the good Lord. He ain't never let me down. So, when you start filming YouTube, these are things you need to think about. How much of your life you want to share. I'll tell you something else. You're going to deal with a lot of people. It gets stressful. At the level I'm at now, I get a lot of messages. I get a lot of phone calls. And to get anything accomplished, sometimes you just got to turn the phone off, do what you got to do, and let it ring and be like, I'd love to talk to them people, but I can't right now. I ain't got time. You have to pick and choose because it ain't that one person. That might be the only time they've ever called. You don't never know. But it's not because of them, it's because there's 100 people and you can't talk to all 100, So if you're not careful, it'll get out of hand to where you get overly stressed, so you have to really limit that. And that's something I'm still trying to learn. And that's why a lot of people won't put their phone number out there. Mine's on my Facebook page. But a lot of people won't put their phone number out there. A lot of people won't give you their email address. They don't want you trying to contact them. I'm doing a ministry. I don't want to be hid from everybody. If somebody needs help, I want to be able to help them, but there's only one of me and I can only do so much. So it's, you have to just figure it out. Mary, you made wild lettuce tincture today. Good for you. How Frank said, how do you start a channel? I just started video and making videos, and then with my phone, actually I started making them with a camera, and we had an old computer and I would upload them. It'd take forever, like 2 days to upload them. Now you can do everything on an iPhone. That's the way to go. Film with an iPhone. It's got image stabilization. They have a good microphone. They have good cameras. An iPhone like 11, 12, 13 and up, anything new you're going to get is ideal for making YouTube videos, by far. I have not had experience with Android equipment, so I can't really speak on it. That's why I say iPhone, is because that's what I have experience with. I'm not saying iPhone's better than Android or anything. I ain't getting into that argument. I'm just familiar with this and I stick with it because that's what I know. But you can upload on there, so you have to get on YouTube and on a channel, you just over there create and upload videos to it. I mean, it's pretty simple. Papa D, good to see you. Go to Goodnight. Jamie said, I've been trying to understand the Bible more and Genesis. It talks about the firmament. What does that mean? Okay, the firmament, when God created the earth, he created a earth inside there, and he said all the waters were gathered together in one place. The land was all one spot. The continents were not spread out. And this earth was this ball in there, and it had water all in one area, and there was one big block of land in there. And then there was a globe of water around it like a bubble, and that was the firmament. He said he separated the waters above from the waters below. So there was water on the earth, and then there was a globe of water above the earth. And it was probably from the outside, it would have looked much like Venus or some of these other planets, Neptune, that they say, oh, those are gases, that planet's just a ball of gas. Well, our planet would have looked very much the same way at one point in time. So it would have looked like a solid bubble from the outside. When it rained in Noah's day, that's when he burst the bubble, and all of that water come down to the earth and flooded the earth. And then as the continents floated to the top and separated. So that is why the continents are possibly sitting on top of water, like somewhat floating. I don't understand exactly how all that works. May not be the case. I don't know how much water, but we know there's a lot of underground water. So the earth opened up and swallowed some of the water as the floodwaters drained off. But the firmament was a bubble of water around the earth on the outside up in the sky. And it kept the earth at a constant temperature, or in a constant range of temperature. And it allowed reptiles and man and everything to grow to be a lot older because it filtered out all of the UV rays and harmful stuff out of the sun. It filtered all that out, and man could live 800-900 years. That is why we had dinosaurs. They were merely reptiles that grew to be very, very large. Well, whenever there was no more firmament to filter out all the harmful stuff, now man only lives about 100 and something years old. And all the reptiles same way. So that is the explanation of the firmament. If you want to understand some of that stuff a little more, get you an app where you can, or you can probably listen to it on YouTube. Pull up the Book of Enoch and just listen to it. The Book of Enoch is not something I would preach from. It is not something I would say, this is verse, this is the Bible, this is, but I think it is a very accurate historical book. So for historical purposes, it is a good book to read. Is it going to change anybody's faith or understanding of the Bible and all? Probably not, but it may help you understand a little more about how the world was before the flood. So just my thoughts, and y'all, a lot of that is my understanding and opinion. It may not actually be fact, however, the firmament part is fact. It was a globe of water around the outside of the earth, and it broke in the flood and come down. It had never rained when Noah built the ark. When Noah stood and preached rain, it's gonna rain, people laughed at him and called him an idiot because it had never rained before ever. There was no record of rain. That was a new thing. That is why what he preached was so outlandish. It wasn't like me standing up here preaching it's gonna rain today. I mean, it's raining right now. It ain't okay, it's raining. Big deal. Modern outdoors, you need to get into making lures. Somebody said we need somebody that makes lures. I ain't never thought about it. We was talking about that this week. Rodney Dunaway, you got a point. He said, I'd rather be physically tired but mentally strong than to be physically strong and mentally tired. Yeah, got a lot. Good night, Harold. Catch them fish. L squared Android. I have seen footage from the Androids. I think, I personally, I think you probably take it and do anything you want to with YouTube as well. I hadn't fooled with one. I can't see where it'd be any kind of a problem at all. One of the things I will say, I use iMovie to edit everything. I've got iMovie on my Mac Mini, and I've got iMovie on my phone. I can edit everything on my phone at all. I don't have no trouble swapping around. So depending on how you can do all that with Android, I'm sure they have a app that comes standard on there, and you could edit on it if you wanted to. But now, I'll be honest with y'all. Here's a big kicker if you want to make YouTube videos. Do you enjoy filming videos? Because if you think that this pays anything, it don't. You got to have 150,000 plus subscribers and a lot of views to make any kind of money on here. I can make money selling shirts. I can make money making knives, selling pottery, whatever. But this, you make a little change at the end of the month is about it. If I wanted to get my first plant book for our area, CJ, if you're in the area, I'm trying to remember now where you're at, but for the Southeast, I would get the Southeast Medicinal Plant Book for starters. Get it. And then if I was going to go to another one, it would probably be the Lost Book of Herbal Remedies. Those are actually two really good books. However, they don't cover every plant that there is, but they cover a lot of the basics. I'll tell you another good book. The Peterson's Field Guide for Medicinal Plants is an excellent book. Now, I don't use it a lot anymore, but however, it is a very good book. And the reason I say these three books is because they have color photos to help you with identification. Now, if you pair with an iPhone or Android or whatever, you know, your smartphone that you can look up and picture this and all that kind of stuff to help you make sure you positively identify your plant, then the North American Herbology of Native American, what is it? North American Herbology, Native American Herbology of North America. I get tongue-tied on that book. It's a great book, but it has no pictures hardly in it that's worth anything. So it works good. So I would probably go with the southeast medicinal plants to start with. And I'm assuming they probably have that book for the East Coast, for the West Coast, for Northeast. I'm assuming they make several. I don't know. I have not looked. I probably should. They have a creation museum in Texas. I knew Dr. Ken Ham has one in Kentucky, I think. I know he's got the Ark in Kentucky, but they've got a lot of stuff up there. He is good information on helping you understand creation. I think that science would cease to struggle so hard with explaining things if they would accept creation. They try so hard to disprove it. The carbon dating system that they use to say that we're millions of years old has a lot of flaws, and it is right less than like 20-something%. Yet they still use it because they just bent on using it. If you go back to creation, I mean, it's like a lot of these, like the Grand Canyons. Well, they want to say that the Colorado River carved that over millions and millions of years. No, it didn't. Water just trickling over a rock ain't going to carve something that deep. That's miles wide. Water pressure carved stuff. Fast moving lots of water carved stuff out. A slow running river, river down here. If one river carved that through all that rock, then how come this creek over here where we live, how come this ain't no wider and bigger than it is? You know? The Lost Book of Herbal Remedies, yeah, you can find it on Amazon. I looked it up this past week. In fact, if I use a book in a video, I'll link it in that video. You can go to the description box and they'll have a link, and if you're going to buy it, go find one of them videos and buy it through that link. Let me make $1 off of it. I might make 50 cents. I don't know how much they pay me, but every little bit helps. Buy it through my link. Or go in my store. You can click on any of my videos and go into my Amazon store, and I've got everything categorized. Fishing stuff, to crafting, to books, and you can look in the books, and all those medicinal plant books is in there, linked to Amazon. And it's got a lot of different stuff in it too, like other than plants. It's got like using some household stuff and I think a lot of that information, my opinion, you need to have as much information on paper as you can get, especially medicinal plants and edible plants. You need southeastern foraging book too to know what kind of plants out there you can eat. Larry, we'll see you next time. Have a good night. I'm thinking about going in there and filling my coffee cup up one more time. See what my light looks like out through him. Look at that little old bitty light. One, two, got 3 modes. I couldn't remember how many modes it had. But you can see there ain't no deer in my peas. Y'all see it, rain dripping. We're getting a good soaking rain. What lights up under here when you shine that? I've been keeping this little old light in my pocket. Yeah, oh, Jimmy, I struggle to believe a lot of that stuff that they try to sell us on. That I mean, they got people convinced of some goofy stuff, and I'm gonna tell you. That is the very reason that I struggle to believe in climate change and all this kind of stuff, that we're the cause of it. I think the climate is just changing. I think there was an ice age, and I think it happened right after the flood. We don't know that to be a fact. The Bible don't really talk about it, but you know, evidence is real. It's like dinosaurs. The Bible don't talk about dinosaurs, but common sense kind of tells you if man could live 800 years, 900 years, you know, the animals was living that long too. I mean, it was, so, you know, it makes sense if you put it all together and just use some common logic. But when they tell you there's, you know, billions of years old, I don't think so. It just, there's a lot that would be different, I think, if it were really that old. So I don't know. We would know a lot more. You think, stop and think about this. 50 to 100 years ago, we were still riding mules, riding horses. They were still people hunting with primitive sticks and stones. If we'd been here 4.5 billion years old, do you think anybody 50 to 100 years ago would have still been using sticks and stones to hunt with? Look how far we've come in 50 years. 50 years, look how far we've come. If we'd been here 4.5 billion years, we'd know way a heap more than we know now. It just don't make sense. I'm sorry. Old country boy, it just don't make sense to him. No, Bill, I went and just joined my deer club day before yesterday. No, yesterday. I went and met the man yesterday and paid my dues. And I hadn't even seen the land. He said, when the fair's over, he said, I'll take my side by side, I'll meet you over there. He said, we'll just ride over it. I'll show you everything. So I said, sounds good to me. I'll probably have to invest in the Onyx Hunt app for a while so I can find where the boundaries and stuff are, because it has landlines. And I want to stay legal. There's 3,000 acres. I'm probably going to run one feeder. I might run two. I'm not going to feed no heap of corn to no deer. I like to hunt natural trails, crossings, but I want one good stand with one good feeder where I can take Brody and we can watch does. He may want to shoot a deer. He may get there and want to name them and be like, Daddy, let's don't shoot them. And if he's like that, I'm not going to force him to kill a deer. He's seen us kill deer. He sat over there and watched me skin a deer. I'm not trying to traumatize him. I'm trying to ease him into it. I don't want to force him to go. And he may go hunt one time and he may not even care nothing about it, want to go back. I ain't going to force him to go hunt either. My daughter said she wanted to hunt. So whenever I go find everything, I'll get ready to start feeding, and I'm going to try to feed one feeder in one central location and back off and hunt trails. And I'll do videos on my hunting methods as we go into this and how I'm going to set up new land, never been there, and see how successful we get. And I'm going to tell y'all, I ain't going to go over there and just try to shoot no heap of bucks. I mean, we get 3 in Mississippi, but I'm not going to go over there and try to kill every buck I see. I ain't got no question about whether I can kill a big buck or not. I may not run a camera. I may run cameras. I would like to see what is in the area. I've got a couple of game cameras, but they're always trouble, so I don't know what all we're going to do. I may get geared up, going to put game cameras out and make them on video where we can compile video footage. There's going to be a lot of hunting videos this fall, no doubt. And we're going to do some primitive stuff that I didn't get to do last year. I want to do because my muzzleloader wasn't that right. I want to get the buckskins out and let's do some primitive muzzleloader hunts where we dressed up and all our stuff, you know. We did a few squirrel hunts like that, but Cal, you stop and think about this. You're talking about 100 years ago giving your grandpa your iPhone. You know, when I was growing up in high school, I knew all of my friends' phone numbers. I knew every road, every street, because I delivered stuff from a landscape place, and I knew streets run east to west, avenues north and south. I knew that the odd numbers were on one side of the street, even numbers on the other. You could give me a house number, and I could drive and find a house number and a road, and I could find that place. And now, without that blue line on that, and we don't know nothing, we don't know nobody's number. You think about how stupid we really are. I mean, really and truly. We're getting dumber by the minute. These people that literally think the earth's flat now. There's no way you'll ever convince me of that. It don't make sense. I mean, what's it sitting on a plate or something? Look at the moon. The moon ain't flat. I mean, really. I don't know. Well, Tommy, we just thought you was gonna give slam up on it. Where in the world have you been? Tommy, have you been out there greasing and rubbing on that motor scooter again? Tell me you ain't been out there rubbing on that motor scooter again tonight. There's a cricket on there. There's a brim running around on the floor right there. Been lazy. Well, it don't take a lot of energy to turn Spirit of the Outdoors on and get tuned in to live from Mississippi. We talking to you, son. Hey, look, you get everybody caught up on what you doing, and I'm going to fill up his coffee cup because this right here done got cold. Let me go fill her up. Alright, I'm back. Click clack. Tommy was a big topic. He ain't gonna have no idea what all we said about him while he was gone. We did have a long conversation about him. Tommy, tell us the truth. That rain hitting on that roof got you, didn't it? Yeah. Frank, you wasn't throwing paper balls, was you? No, coffee won't keep me. I can drink this whole pot of coffee and go in there. But I like it because it had a good flavor to it. Mixing since Michelle had her scare with the blood pressure, we've really been making decaf like half and half. The caffeine ain't really why I drink coffee. I can't never see that it really winds me up much. Tommy came up here and ate some soup with us last year. We'll have to get him up here on live one night. Hopefully, when it starts cooling off, I'm ready to build a fire. I miss having a fire. I think I'm gonna do some experimental stuff with my fireplace here to make it draft a little better. I think I got a plan. I think I do. Might work, might not. We don't know. We'll try it and see. I want my daddy's records. Oh, Lord, I watched that episode here not long ago. I love to watch me some Fred Sanford now. He's about one of the few racist people that I like to watch, but he tickles me. He wouldn't never made it today's time. People have been too offended to watch him. Blind Melon Jelly. Yeah, he had a whole stack of albums, and they saved one, and then they sat on it and broke it. We find some stuff to talk about. Bill said, "Do I ever drink cowboy coffee?" Occasionally I do. Now, my opinion of cowboy coffee is you just put coffee in a pot of water and bring it to a boil, and then I shock it with a little bit of cold water. Sort of like old Kent Rollins does. He done a whole video on how to make coffee. That's kind of the way I do my cowboy coffee. But now I got a percolator in mine, so a lot of times I'll just run it through the percolator. So that is the majority of the time the way I'll do outside coffee out here. Algernon, we actually spoke that right on into existence, didn't we? Well, Tommy, we ain't got to have DVD no more. You can get on a Prime Video at Amazon Prime and just tune it right in and go to whichever episode you want to look at. Yep. Martin said Justin and Tommy on live from Mississippi would be epic. We might, if we can get that scooter up here. He sits out there and rubs on it and polishes on it so much, I don't know if he can ride it up here or not. Oh. He ride it up here. We're going to have to invest in us another broke down rocking chair. I'll look around in the scrap yards and see if I find one somebody's done set out by the sidewalk uptown. We'll stop and throw it in the back of the truck, and we'll have Tommy a chair. Yeah, we'd have a truth stretched mighty thin, but I try not to deviate far from the truth. I like to bend it pretty good, you know what I mean? I don't want to lie to you, but, you know, we'll stretch it pretty thin. I get to sit back and start thinking of some of the stuff that's happened to me. I mean, it's like that coon deal the other day. You know, if I ain't had that coon running back up in that trap, and I'd have sat here and told y'all that tale about how that happened, every one of y'all would have swore I'd made that up. Wouldn't you? I would have. I'll tell y'all another good one that happened about like that. It wasn't exactly the same, but I was running limb hooks one time. I'm gonna tell y'all, I can catch anything on a limb hook. I'm that good. I'm in old John boat, cause this is back before the canoe days. All I had was a John boat, the 15-horse Johnson, and I'd drive a motor and then I'd cut it off while it was headed, and I'd have to get up and run up the boat and sit down at the front and catch a limb before I rammed into it. And then usually it'd hit the tree and go wham, and you know, it'd hurt your ribs and stuff. Well, anyway, I come around a bend one day. I was running my limb hooks, and I looked, and there was something hanging in the water right there. And I said, what in the world? It looked funny. I ain't never in my life seen a fish with feathers. Y'all ever seen a fish with feathers? I got up there and grabbed that pink string that was hanging there, and there was a wad of feathers. I knew. And it was moving. And y'all, I ain't never in my life seen no such. So I pulled it up. And there was an owl had tried to get my catfish. The catfish apparently had come up to the top of the water, was swimming, and when he grabbed it, he got his feet hung up in that string. Well, he flopped around till he drowned it. And the fish was still alive. I got my fish and the hoot owl. Now, I had to throw the hoot owl back because in Mississippi, they catch you with a hoot owl in the boat. They swear you killed him and they'll put you in jail for it, or try to. And I didn't want that, so would have been a lot of wonderful feathers to have made something, but they don't let you keep such as that here. But I had caught a hoot owl on a limb line. I've caught some water dogs. But stuff like that, you know, you tell it, people like, oh, I didn't happen. You imagine me talking about a coon, putting him in my live trap and him escaping like Houdini out of that live trap, jumping on the ground and running back up in the hog trap, tripping it, getting caught again, just like that. You can't make that kind of stuff. No, they ain't that creative. Mike Culpepper, I did make a sheath for my hatchet. I hadn't made a bunch of them, but now I have ordered some leather. I'll have plenty of leather here by Tuesday, I think they said. I ordered it from Tandy Leather. I can make a hatchet sheath, but I will have to have the hatchet in my hand to make one. Yeah, Mark, the truth will always beat fiction. I was reading Tommy, he said me and my daddy was fly fishing back when Buck was a calf. He caught a mallard drake on a popping butt and fought him till he hit the end of his line and the duck broke his leader off. Popping bug. Caught a mallard drake on a popping bug and fought him till he hit the end of his line and broke the leader. Yeah. Yeah, you can't make that kind of stuff up. Don't happen. That is why now I keep a camera running most of the time. That's like I had just turned it off a year or so ago, and I caught the tail end of it on camera, but I was crappie fishing, and I was wearing them out right there on the bank. I mean, they was in less than a foot of water, and I was standing there doing what Jerry Clow would call perch jerking. We was just jerking them in. And there's a 5-pound bass grabbed that thing. Now, I did video weighing the bass, but I didn't get the video catching it. I caught my crappie. The bass come up and grabbed the crappie, swallowed him whole, and I drug the bass up on the bank and got my crappie out of his mouth. His head opened up. I mean, he'd swallowed that iPad right there. His mouth was so big. Good night, Frank. Tommy said he seen a dead horse inside a Honda Accord. I tell you this, my buddy Casey Gray, y'all have seen him in some videos. He'll be in some hunting videos with me this fall, probably. We're going to try to do a camping trip together. He's got a boy. In fact, the thumbnail of Brody's birthday party, that's Casey Gray's son in the Beaudry in the thumbnail. We're going to take them two boys camping him when it starts cooling off. But he come driving up. He had this little old car. I don't know if it was a Honda or a Geo Tracker or some kind of little shoebox with wheels he had. And he come driving up, man, it was beat all up. I mean, it looked like he drove it right out of the junkyard. He got here, the windshield was busted out, roof caved in, everything. His eyes is still big as quarters. He come walking up. I said, what in the world happened to your car? He said, I just hit a deer. I said, where's the deer? He said, it run off. I couldn't find it. He said, you want to go look for it? I said, yeah, let's go. We get in my truck. We started down the road. I said, we might ought to go tell a game warden what we doing. I said, because we're going to have a hard time making anybody believe we didn't shoot it off the side of the road, being we ain't in your beat-up car. If we went over in that car, there wouldn't be no question. They'd know. But we going in my truck. I wasn't on riding that busted-up thing. Man, there's glass all over the dash, all in the front seats. I mean, it mangled that little bitty car up pretty good. So we go over there and see Mr. Truett Robertson. He was a game warden at the time in this area, and he was an older fella. And he said, well, let me get my boots on. He said, I'll ride over there with y'all. He said, was it a good deer? Man, it was a fine deer. I ain't seen it, but that's what Casey was telling him. So we got over there, and he said, the deer run off. He said, but I hit it hard enough. He said, it didn't go far. So we went over there to where he hit it, got out, and went to walk it. Sure enough, we found some blood, tracked it up there. Sure enough, laying up there in the woods, there was deer. Now, we had took a pistol because I was afraid it might still be alive and just crippled, and we needed to shoot it. Well, we got up there, and I think it may have been alive when we got there, and I think a game warden, we let him shoot it. That thing had a drop time, a drop main beam. Where its horns come out like this, it had a drop down, and it went just under the main beam. It was that long. I ain't never seen a deer look like it in all my life. But now, it came with the price of a car, because he had to buy him another one after that. I don't even know what happened to that head. They was going to mount it at one time. He had a man offer him $300 for the head. And I think he told me later, he said, I wished I'd have sold it. Raymond said, how much did that picture weigh? I don't know. I'm lost on that. I lied. The horse's head was on the trunk, not the hood. Tongue was hanging out. Matthew, yeah, we skinned that deer. It was wintertime. It was cold. We brought that deer home and skinned it, and the half of it was busted up. There was a couple of the quarters we didn't get. I don't remember what, but most of it was actually good. We hung it up and skinned it. Now, we did throw some of it away. It was bad. I want to think one of the front shoulders was where he hit it in the front, on the corner, and then it rolled, and the head's what hit the windshield, and the horns is what knocked the windshield in, and it rolled all the way over the car. But it didn't damage, if I ain't mistaken, the back hind quarters, one of the quarters was like destroyed, but the other three were, one of them had a little bit of blood spots in it, but we got most of the meat. We did. But now I have seen a few that they wouldn't know getting none of it. Hey, me and my daddy, we left and went to Tom Bigby River running hooks. Or we was doing mail. I don't know where. No, we had went to Kemper. No, we was coming back from Tom Bigby. Because we was pulling that camouflage War Eagle. And we had a deer run out of a man's yard, and I'm talking about he run right between the tailgate of the truck and the front of the boat. It said, blue. We stopped, backed up, loaded the deer up. We come back, we had to clean fish and deer the same night. When I bought my pickup truck in '06, Back then, that was in my wilder days. We was riding around, showing out, drinking one night. We shouldn't have been riding, and you know, it was a new truck. I had all my buddies loaded up in there. And about that time, boom, I mean, old dude just darted out of the bushes. I mean, we run slam over. Done several $1,000s to the front of my truck worth of damage. I got out, walked over in the ditch. I ran back, kicked that deer just as hard as I could, and then we loaded her up, brought her home and skinned her. I said, boys, this is an expensive deer. I ain't about to leave that laying in the ditch. Oh, the fish that eat my fish, Raymond, yeah. It's on a video. The fish weighed 5.5 pounds. You can go back and look at it. It's in a video back 2 years ago. Well, I was crappie fishing in a pond up here. Them jumping carp, Tommy, I'll tell you a story about them. Me and a buddy of mine, we went to the Sunflower River one night. We went up there, we was going frog grab. We ain't never done no frog grabbing before because there really ain't no lot of frogs back here. They just got back here in this one area around this duck pond, but for the most part in that swamp, they just one here and yonder. We was gonna load up. We went all the way to Sunflower River. We rode around to midnight before we found a boat ramp over there to put the boat in. I mean, we wore slam out before we got. I had my buddy driving. I was sitting over there drinking that hard cider. And time we found the boat ramp, I was pretty well wound up. We put the boat in, man, we got in there and got the lights on, and son, the mayflies, I ain't never eaten so many mayflies in all my life. I was a spitting and a sputtering, but we was easing around and we caught one or two frogs. There wasn't no lot of frogs out there, so we figured out they was up in them inlets where them flies was getting up under them trees. So where there was a drainage ditch, we had to ease up in there. Well, we pulled up in this one and water was still. We was just idling up in there, and there was a frog way up in there, and we was easing up there. Son, all at once, the water just exploded. And them carp, I guess we had herded them up into that inlet, and when we got up in there to where they didn't have nowhere to go with that motor running, they just went to jump, and they jumped in my lap. There was 3 in the boat that was that long. Son, you talking about old country boy ain't never had none of that happen to him. I ain't never been up there and seen them jumping carp. I mean, literally jumped in my lap with me. I like to have left that boat. Rodney Dunaway said, me and my dad saw a man riding around in a small truck with a calf inside the cab with him. He said, my dad said, I've seen it all now. Tommy had a bat bounce off his helmet on his motorcycle and hit his wife in the face. I'd like to have seen her reaction to that. I was hoping my buddy old Tony Parker would join in tonight. He texted me this morning. Old Tony Parker, he likes to can, and he cans about everything they ought to can up there. He asked me, he said, you ever made any crab apple jelly? I said, no. I hadn't. I said, well, we had a crab apple tree in my mama and them's yard for years. I said, we ain't never made nothing out of them. I said, because I got brave one time when I was a young'un and went out there and they was pretty crab apples. They was about like about as big as your thumb or something, you know, a little bigger than marble. And I grabbed one and bit off into it, and son, it was just like green persimmons. And I told him, he said, well, reckon ain't a guy. I said, well, just grab you one and bite off into it and see. He said, nah. He said, I think I'll let my wife try them. He said, I'll let her take them for a drive. I was curious tonight of how that worked out for him, if he got his wife to try them crab apples. Any of y'all ever eat crab apples? They might make good jelly, but the ones I eat right off a tree was terrible. Like a green persimmon. Bill, he commented on my coon video the other day, but oh y'all, I can tell you, if he's anything like me, he's got so much going on. He ain't. Before he really got big, he had commented on one of them. Well, I had commented on his videos about trapping or something, and he was like, "We need to get together and do something." And now he's so big he can't keep up with who's who. I hadn't watched a lot of his stuff. But I ain't watched no lot of nothing in the last. I don't have time to watch other people's videos much no more. And I figure he's that way. If you put out as much content as me and him do, you ain't got time to watch other people's stuff. You just don't. Not and do anything. Well. It is about to get late down here in the south. So, anyway, I told y'all earlier I was going to talk about something I'm going to close the video out with. I told y'all earlier I ain't for people sending me money. I don't get on here and ask for money for nothing. But I got a proposition. I'm asking right now for input and advice or thoughts. And I'll get comments probably if people watch all this throughout. I've got some other people that have reached out to me in other parts of the country that would like to be baptized. And ministry is my number one thing I want to do here. I'll lay everything down aside. Excuse me. I'll lay everything aside to do ministry. So what my proposition is, I have thought about doing a baptism tour. In other words, me and my wife and Brody load up in the truck, and wherever somebody wants to be baptized at, I'll drive there. If they can gather up people, I'll sit down on the tailgate and preach to them and baptize whoever wants to be baptized. Leave there and go somewhere else. If they and make me a loop up through wherever. I would have to go in one general direction and then come back and then move. So what my proposition is for me to do that, I can't afford to do it. The reason it hadn't happened yet, I don't have the money to buy the gas, the hotel rooms, and pay my bills while I'm not working, while I'm gone doing this. So what is a way to make that happen? The biggest question is there enough people to make it worth doing to begin with? Number one question, is there people out there watching that want to be baptized? Where are you at? What part of the country are you in? Then, is there enough people, if you're there and you want to be baptized, do you know enough of people that would gather up somewhere, and could you get a location to have a place to say, hey, yeah, we got water at a creek or river or a pond or a lake or a boat ramp somewhere, anywhere that there's water that people's willing to get in and not a sewage ditch, and baptize people, sit down and make this happen. The biggest thing, I think, right now I have like one couple back over around Smith Lake. Just like, if you're ever back over here, baptize us. I think I could reach out the people that I baptized, Miss Amy and them. I think some more of her family would like to be baptized as well. So that would be the first stop. I would go generally towards Smith Lake, probably on the first trip. So if there's people on up, all the way South Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee, Georgia, North Georgia, I could make a loop and hit a couple of places and come back if it took a week, if it took. And see, the next thing is okay, if I either got to do it on the weekend when everybody's off work, so there's a lot to figure out. Figuring out when people are available to make this happen. You know, we did it on Sunday last time. If I need to plan it over the weekend and do it as church service, we can do that. If people are going to church, I do not want to interfere with your regular church service, your church schedules. You need to be faithful to your church, I think. I think that's important. A lot of people don't really believe, well, I don't go to church. I ain't going to say you go into hell for not going to church, but it is good for you to attend a church and be a part of something where you gather with other people and worship. Whether you totally 100% agree with every person there, and there's going to be hypocrites and people in every church. It don't matter what kind of church, what flavor, whatever. They're going to be people going to that church, in your eyes, they just ain't living right, you know? And no matter how much preaching you do to them, most of them just ain't going to act right. It's that way everywhere. But you go there not for the people, but for yourself and for God. And you need to gather with other people and worship. You need to find a church that is very close to what you believe, you know, I think. So I don't want to interfere with that, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to like plan on Sunday morning and then stop people that normally go to church somewhere from going to church to come hear me. That ain't what I want to do. I want to add to the gospel, not try to take away and like build me on my own following. That ain't what I'm about. I'm not into traveling and preaching for money. I don't think that's, but it takes money to make something happen. So like trying to set this up so I can make money off of doing it ain't my goal. But right now I can't afford to leave and drive all the way and buy hotel rooms and gas and food and all that stuff to make it happen. So those are my questions. What are y'all's opinions and thoughts on being able to make that happen? Thomas said raffle off a knife. Cal, you never gonna get right. Make the steps, get baptized, and start working. You're never gonna get perfect. There's never gonna be a time in your life that, okay, I'm living, everything's just right in my life, now I can get. You get baptized to get what you've done washed away. And I think a lot of people misunderstand about the infilling of the Spirit. Without being filled with the Spirit, it's hard to not sin. The reason I can live a clean, fairly clean life, and I'm not perfect, but the reason I don't still struggle with alcohol and cigarettes and all that stuff is because I let the Lord fill me with His Spirit, and I had an experience that's unexplainable. And I think a lot of people want to get hung up on, well, I don't think that's necessary. Well, you know, taking a bath ain't necessary, but man, it helps, you know. Yeah, but Tommy, the problem with passing the hat when you get there is you got to have the money to get there. And that's where we don't have no big nest egg put up somewhere to just like, we take about one vacation every 3 years. I mean, we don't make a lot of money here. I don't try to make a lot of money. So I'm trying to figure out, raffling something off might be the best way. Because I don't want to just be like, hey, everybody donate me some money. Somebody told me, said, open up a GoFundMe and put a cap on it, like I need this much money raised to do this. You know, I've got to sell some raffle tickets for the deer camp. They have raffle tickets on a chance to win money that they sell, and they're going to give me a book of their tickets, and I'm going to have to sell them just to mitigate some of the deer camp fees. Is what keeps the cost down on this club. So I don't know what all I got going on. I hate to all of a sudden jump up and I start selling chances on a knife and then chances on this, but that may be something to think about and do. I hadn't never heard of Jason Hunt. But somebody that's already doing something, you hate to just dive into what they're doing. You get people that don't know you, that maybe have conflicting belief systems, and they, you know, I preach what the Bible says, and I find that there's a lot of churches that look at it and go, ugh, you know. I mean, I look at it at face value, and I preach it that way because of my personal experiences, and the proof that I have is I lived it, I tried it, I know what works. And you get a lot of people that are, you know, okay, in other words, this experience I talk about where I have spoken tongues, and you get so many people, well, I don't believe in that, I don't believe. Well, if you've never experienced it and you've never had it, how can you say it ain't, you know, that it's not important if you've never had it? You're just missing out on, that's like saying, well, you know, being a millionaire ain't no fun, because, you know, I don't think you need to be, you know. Well, what if you had $1 million? Then would you still feel the same way? It's kind of like that, not really the same, you know, because, you know, the love of money is the root of all evil. Money ain't the root of all evil, the love of it. But you get my point. So you run into, if you get involved with a bunch of other people, you get, you know, I'd rather do my own thing, because just, I follow the Spirit. I don't sit down and write out this wonderful lesson and then sit down and try to teach all these points. I follow what God puts in my heart, because it's very strong, and that's why I have to just roll with that. That's just the way I do. Rifle off that muzzleloader pillow. Yeah, Tommy, they probably... Eddie, I have been baptized twice. Bill Valentine, I did say, speaking in tongues. I have had this experience, and it is very real, and it is very life-changing. It's not some just made-up gibberish, hoogly-boogly. You know, I've heard everything there is to say about it. Until you've had this experience, you can't explain it. That's all I can say. You can't explain it. And it will change you. It is not like, okay, well, I'm going to try to live a good life and be a Christian, and I'm going to try to do good. It ain't like that. This is like all of a sudden I've got a whole mental outlook. I have a whole new perception. I have a whole new understanding. It's joy unspeakable. It's understanding. It's like, oh, this is what I've been missing. I mean, it's the Bible in Acts 1:8. He said, "Ye shall receive power." I had some lady comment on my video who says, "None of us have power but God." That ain't what the Bible says. The Bible said, "Ye shall receive power." After that, the Holy Ghost has come upon you. Not our power of our own. I don't possess my own power to do anything. I have to operate in the Spirit and follow the Spirit and do what the Holy Ghost wants to do. I don't have control over it. In other words, like I get to dictate what it does, but I do have power. But I have power over the enemy. I have the authority to put Satan in his place when he comes after me. So it is a life-changing experience. I couldn't imagine. After having this experience, I can't imagine trying to live for God and fight the enemy without it. I'll put it like that. And I mean, I've heard a lot of people say, oh, it ain't necessary for salvation. It ain't necessary for you can go to heaven without it. You know, you can walk to town too, but it's a whole lot better to drive. You know, it's going to be hard to get there without it. I'll tell you this, because there's a lot of hang-ups, there's a lot of battles to fight, and I need all the help I can get. That's just all there is to it. Papa Peden said, son, it's a lot better to have plenty of corn in the crib or have too much corn in the crib when winter's over than to go into winter not have enough. You know, we got one shot at this. So when I stand before the Lord and St. Peter and whoever's up there, I don't want them to say, well, you didn't do enough. You know, I want them to look at me and say, you know, you didn't have to do all that. I'm going to be like, well, I'm here, you know, that's all that matters. It wasn't that bad. So, you know, yes, I've heard tongues and interpretation too, several times. Several times. It's not one of those things that happens every day. Some people interpret the Bible to say, oh, Paul said if there's not an interpreter, not to speak in tongues. That ain't what Paul was talking about. Paul was addressing the situation of people standing up, because this was new at the time, and they would just stand up and speak in tongues in the spirit, you know, before people, and everybody's sitting there going, okay, you know, that's a blessing for you, but it ain't helping me. And Paul was like, preach to these people. Tell them what they need to hear so that they can receive. Not you just stand up there trying to look holier than thou. And that's what he was condemning. The fact of speaking in tongues itself, he said, I speak in tongues more than you all. So he wouldn't like, okay, you can't speak in tongues without an interpreter. So people's understanding of it has gotten very flawed, and that is why you got so many denominations, because everybody tries to understand the Bible with human understanding and carnality, we call it, and they don't really lean on the Spirit. The Bible says lean on the Spirit, not your own understanding. So that's why you got to about have this experience that I'm talking about to be able to understand all this, really. So anyway, it gets deep, but it is really simple when you back up and look at it at face value. It's really not that complicated. You think folks will buy my dirty, used bandanas with my signature on them? Tommy, you have lost your mind. They don't nobody want no dirty, wore-out bandana with my name wrote on it. If you think they do, tell me what they are worth. Because I got a box full of them. Lord help. Y'all trying to, Jimmy Glenn, don't you start. Don't you start. Well, I've got a few of them in mind. Tell me, what are the bandanas worth? I'll sign it. I got a pocket full of pencils right here. Let me see. Oh, look at him. We got Sharpie. I got this because I had to take it to write on the package. The tie will sail. Let's see. All right, hang on. There you go, Tommy. There's your first one. Look at him. What's that right there worth now? Y'all, I wrote on my iPad screen. It bled through there. It rubbed off, Kyle. It rubbed off. buying feet pictures. Yeah, but Jimmy Glenn, he buying my feet pictures. They might be buying somebody's feet pictures, but it ain't mine. They might pay me to put my shoes back on. $20. Nah, they ain't never gonna pay those $20 for them. Hang. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see who comments and makes a bid on it. That's what we'll do. We're gonna, this and on my head, we're gonna take bids on it. We're gonna see what it goes for. We're gonna put we'll put the funds in a box, and every time one sells, I'll do another one. I probably better jerk the first offer's arm off. What I better do. Well, anyway, that is a good thought. If nothing else, it was good entertainment. I seriously doubt anybody wants a sweaty, nasty do-rag. But if they do, we'll send it to them. It is after 10 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are? I'm fixing to shut everything down. I have had a blast tonight. I really have. It has actually been relaxing for me to sit here and just talk to you guys and get my mind off everything else. But we got it whooped this week. I do have to get on the road tomorrow and ride. So I'm going to try to figure out how I can pull off just in time. I don't really have a video for tomorrow while we're gone. Just too much going on. Didn't get to film today. So I'll try to figure it out, but I'll be on the road tomorrow. We may film some odd and end stuff. If we stop and hit some thrift stores, that's what I like to do. I love thrift stores, but I don't really need nothing. I just like to look. I'm now my mind's geared to scavenging knife materials and knife making stuff. So it has felt good though to sit here and just talk and relax and have a good time with y'all. Filming is one of the things I enjoy, and I am blessed to have such a wonderful group of people following and want to talk and carry on and have a good time, tell tales. So sometime when it cools off, y'all keep a reminder, and we're going to try to come up with a date. We're going to do the annual Spirit of the Outdoors stew cooking shoot for sometime over in September, October, whenever it works out that we can get everybody together. I would love to fix it where you can bring a tent and set it up and we camp out, but I ain't responsible if you get hurt. Here, you on your own. I ain't got a dime for you to sue me for. If you try to sue me, I'm gonna bury you in the swamp. That's all there is to it. You gonna come up a miss. There's plenty of alligators down there and they hungry. So anyway, I'm carrying on with you. Have a good night. Thank y'all for watching. We'll see you next time. Remember, the best way to do things is the way you like to do it. We'll see y'all. Y'all have a good one tonight. I'm fixing to go prop my feet up, watch Jeremiah Johnson again.